Chapter 1560. Kid, isn't the speed of your cultivation advancement a little too fast? How long has it been and you have already broken through to the Divine King realm? The white dragon horse was still in the form of a black donkey. It appeared out of nowhere and looked at Ling Xiao in disbelief. Calculating carefully, Ling Xiao had only been in the divine world for a few years, but this cultivation breakthrough was actually as simple as eating and drinking water. Many people had even wasted tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years in the four realms of divine Tao. Even if it was a genius expert, the time needed to break through was also counted in hundreds of years. Ling Xiao's speed of advancement was indeed shocking. You are not bad yourself. You have also reached the great heavenly God realm. You are only one step away from the Divine King realm. Ling Xiao looked at the black donkey and said with a strange look in his eyes. The white dragon horse looked like it had nothing to do, but its cultivation did not fall behind. The bloodline of the dragon horse tribe was extremely powerful. In the ancient times, the dragon horse was the mount of the heavenly emperor and was attached to the bloodline of the great emperor. Therefore, it was also gifted and its bloodline was ancient and noble. The bloodline of the white dragon horse showed signs of atavism. It looked very mysterious. Can you compare yourself with me? I am the great dragon horse. I can travel through thousands of worlds. Even the dragon tribe would not dare to say that their bloodline is stronger than mine. The black donkey laughed proudly. Don't be so smug. No matter how great you are still my mount. Let me tell you, we are about to enter the war god temple. You better behave yourself. If others find out that you are a dragon horse, I will not be able to save you. Ling Xiao slapped the black donkey's head. This fellow was asking to be taught a lesson. Moreover, his mouth was incomparably foul. When Ling Xiao thought about how much trouble the black donkey would cause in the war god temple, he felt a headache coming on. I will not offend people if they don't offend me. If they offend me, don't blame me for trampling on their faces. The black donkey said bitterly. Ling Xiao had planned to bring the black donkey and Bai Susu into the war god temple. Now that the battle hall was in shambles, they were in dire need of manpower. However, the black donkey was not reliable no matter how one looked at it. It loved to stir up trouble. If that mysterious sovereign emperor had not entrusted it to Ling Xiao would not have brought it along. Now, it seemed like he could only give it a beating from time to time. After all, the black donkey was asking for a beating. Bai Susu stood at the side. She was dressed in white. She looked gentle and elegant with a faint smile on her face. Ever since she had cultivated the Lightning Emperor technique and Ling Xiao had given her many saint liquid and treasures, her cultivation. She had reached the late Divine King realm. Furthermore, the lightning dragon bloodline in Bai Susu's body began to awaken under the stimulation of the Lightning Emperor technique. Although she had concealed her aura with the heaven-shrouding secret art, Ling Xiao also possessed the dragon bloodline. Thus, Ling Xiao could sense the ancient and mysterious dragon aura from Bai Susu. At this rate, it wouldn't take long for Bai Susu's bloodline to revert to its ancestral state and become a pure-blooded dragon. The next day, Ling Xiao and the others followed Duan Qin and Lei Muwen to the war god temple. Celestial Dipper and Xian Wang were alone. Only Ling Xiao had the black donkey and Bai Susu with him. However, disciples who entered the war god temple were allowed to bring servants and followers. Since Ling Xiao was about to become a true disciple, even elder Duan Qin didn't say anything about it. However, when Lei Muwen saw the black donkey, he could not help but snort, "Long Outyen, you really have a unique taste. You actually chose a black donkey as your mount. If you're so poor that you can't even afford a mount, I can give you one. Otherwise, you'll become a laughingstock in the sect." The black donkey became furious before Ling Xiao could say anything. It bared its teeth and looked at Lei Muwen in an unfriendly manner. Hee-ha, you're the mount. Your whole family are mounts. Look at your deer-like head and toad-like eyes. You're so unlucky. Be careful not to get struck by lightning when you go out. Bastard, you're courting death. Lei Muwen was enraged. His eyes revealed a trace of coldness. Hee-ha, brat. If I'm a bastard, then you're a bastard too. Your ancestors are all bastards. The black donkey sneered. The black donkey's words enraged Lei Muwen. He was so angry that his body trembled. Tiangang and the others had seen the power of the black donkey's mouth. At this moment, they could not help but smile. They had long found Lei Muwen an eyesore. As the saying went, evil people would be dealt with by evil people. How could Lei Muwen's mouth be better than the black donkey's? He was instantly exasperated from being scolded. I'll kill you. Boom. Lei Muwen's eyes burned with killing intent. A majestic aura exuded from his body. Then, he slammed his palm down on the black donkey. The blazing palm contained streaks of dazzling lightning. This was Lei Muwen's furious attack. It was as if he really wanted to kill the black donkey with a single slap. This palm even enveloped Ling Xiao. Wherever the palm landed, lightning blazed. It was as if lightning dragons were intertwining with each other. The aura was monstrous. Lei Muwen actually attacked with all his might. It was as if he had been planning this for a long time. He displayed a powerful lightning martial art. The aura around him was incomparably cold. Even Duan Qin's eyes flashed. He did not stop Lei Muwen's actions. You're courting death. Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold. He sat on the black donkey's back. Golden blood energy rose from his body. He threw out a punch. Kacha! This punch caused the void to explode violently. It contained an incomparably terrifying power. It broke through the layers of lightning and collided with Lei Muwen's palm. Boom! The heavens and earth trembled, and the void shook. The lightning that filled the sky actually exploded. Ling Xiao's fist rose up like a divine dragon, extremely resplendent. With a crisp sound, Lei Muwen's arm directly exploded. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he flew out horizontally. He spat out a mouthful of blood. It was as if he had been hit by an immemorial mountain. He was severely injured. Facing Ling Xiao's punch, Lei Muwen felt as though he was facing an invincible great emperor. That kind of monstrous fist aura made his heart tremble. That kind of mighty power was like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, directly defeating him. How dare he attack junior brother Long? This Lei Muwen is asking for it. Zhou Doji smiled faintly. Everyone knew how powerful Ling Xiao was. Especially in the Void Saint world, Ling Xiao had killed many inner disciples of the other saint lands. Lei Muwen was only a late divine king. How could he be Ling Xiao's opponent? Chapter 1561. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, what a powerful physical body. Duan Qin's heart skipped a beat as he looked at Ling Xiao. He could tell that Ling Xiao had already cultivated his indestructible battle body to the great perfection stage. His physical body was so strong that he could defeat any god king. Therefore, even though Lei Muwen was 2 stages higher than Ling Xiao, he could not withstand Ling Xiao's punch. Cough, cough, Lei Muwen coughed out blood as his face turned pale. Rumble. The aura around him became stronger and stronger. There were even purple lightning bolts around him. It was ancient and mysterious. The entire place was filled with a majestic aura. Divine Firmament's destructive lightning doctrine? Tiangang was shocked as he said slowly. He did not expect Lei Muwen to have cultivated the supreme sacred art of the Thunder Hall, the Divine Firmament's destructive lightning doctrine. That was a supreme sacred art that only true disciples could cultivate. Lei Muwen's ability to cultivate it probably had something to do with Lei Qianjue. It seemed like Lei Muwen was completely enraged by Ling Xiao. He actually wanted to use the Divine Firmament's destructive lightning doctrine, a supreme sacred art. The vast aura of the lightning doctrine made everyone's heart tremble. Divine Firmament's destructive lightning doctrine? Ling Xiao's eyes also lit up. The divine firmament destructive lightning mantra and the lightning emperor art were peerless sage techniques that were equally famous. Their attacks were unparalleled, and their power could destroy the world. Although Lei Muwen had only cultivated a little, Ling Xiao could still feel the terrifying aura from Lei Muwen's body. Ling Xiao had inherited the lightning emperor art. He really wanted to see the power of the divine firmament's destructive lightning doctrine. Enough. At that moment, Duan Qin made his move. Boom! With a wave of his sleeve, a vast aura of the saintly Wei permeated the air. It immediately dissolved all the lightning power on Lei Muwen's body and blocked him. A high-level half-saint. He is at least a 7th revolution half-saint. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. Although Duan Qin had only blocked Lei Muwen, Ling Xiao could still feel Duan Qin's cultivation level. In the War God Temple, only 7th revolution half-saints and above could be promoted to elders. Although Lei Muwen was a little depressed, he didn't dare to disobey Duan Qin. He could only glare at Ling Xiao hatefully. After suffering this hidden loss, he completely hated Ling Xiao. Let's set off for the sect. Duan Qin looked deeply at Ling Xiao, then said to the crowd calmly. Rumble. The heavens and earth trembled as a vast and majestic aura enveloped the entire Ares College. A golden jade talisman appeared in Duan Qin's palm, exuding a vast aura of the divine path. Tens of thousands of rays of light, majestic and mysterious, floated in the void in an instant, then turned into a golden rain of light. Numerous runes flashed in the air, causing the space to tremble violently, as though it was about to shatter. An ancient seal appeared in the air, flowing with a mysterious light, as though it could shatter the heavens. It was incomparably terrifying. Is this the heaven battling seal? Legend has it that the cyclic heavenly seal is a replica of the heaven battling seal. Ling Xiao's heart trembled as his gaze turned solemn. The reason why the 12 immortal sacred grounds were able to suppress the divine realm and dominate the world was not only because the 12 immortal sacred grounds had inherited the 12 heavenly arts and possessed unparalleled strength, but more importantly, the 12 immortal sacred grounds each possessed an extreme Tao Emperor armament. The extreme Tao Emperor weapon of the War God Hall was the heaven battling seal. This was an extreme Tao monarch weapon left behind by a peerless expert called the War Sky Monarch in the ancient times. It contained a supreme energy fluctuation. Once the extreme Tao monarch weapon was awakened, it would be like a great monarch with unparalleled power. After all, the Supreme Emperor Sky region was too far away from the War God Hall. Even if they took the void teleportation array, they wouldn't know how long it would take to reach the War God Hall. Hence, Duan Qin used the Sage Talisman to communicate with the Heaven Battling Seal. With the Heaven Battling Seal's supreme power, even if it was only a 10,000th of it, it was enough to send everyone to the War God Hall in an instant. In the Divine World's 33 Heavens region, each of the Heavens region was vast and boundless. Moreover, the distance between each other was extremely far. Among them, the Supreme Heaven Domain, Supreme Emperor Heaven Domain and the other 29 Heavens region were known as the Lower Heavens region. The Grand Clear Heavens region, Jade Clear Heavens region and the Shengqing Heavens region were known as the Upper Heavens region. The 12 immortal sacred grounds were located in the upper 3 heavens. As for the Great Haven Law Domain, it was the center of the divine world. It was vast and boundless and contained endless secrets. The War God Hall was located in the Shengqing Heavens region. Rumble. Ling Xiao and the others were wrapped in a dazzling light. The space around them was swirling and chaotic. They didn't know where they were. When they came out from the boundless space turbulence, they had already arrived at the War God Hall. This was an ancient world. Immemorial sacred mountains rose from the ground one after another in front of everyone. They were emitting a vast and majestic aura. Rays of light shone brightly and auspicious vapors rose. Endless clouds filled the air. It was a magnificent scene. Ancient trees towered into the sky. The old vines were as thick as real dragons. Among the sacred mountains, there were many rare and exotic beasts galloping. There were graceful white cranes, white apes with overwhelming spiritual qi, and huge ferocious tigers. Everything in front of them made them feel as if they had been transported to the ancient mythical era. Is this the Shangqing Heavens region? The spiritual qi here is 100 times denser than the Grand Heavens region. Moreover, it contains the qi of the Great Tao. Zhou Daoji and the others were shocked. This was their first time in the Shangqing Heavens region. Compared with the Shangqing Heavenly Domain, the Grand Heavenly Domain was like a remote countryside. No wonder there were so few saint-level powerhouses in the lower Heavenly Domain. The strongest one was only a half-saint. After all, the lower Heavenly Domain was far inferior in all aspects. Is this the War God Hall? Tiangang's eyes flashed. He could see that on top of the sacred mountains in the distance, there were huge and majestic palaces. Moreover, there were many figures shuttling back and forth in the void. They were all emitting powerful auras. The atmosphere here was thousands of times more majestic than that of the Ares College. There was no comparison at all. This is only the outer mountain range of the War God Hall. The real War God Hall is still in the depths. Duan Qin said calmly. Therefore, everyone followed Duan Qin and continued to fly into the depths of the mountain range. Ling Xiao could see that there were tens of thousands of sacred mountains in the outer mountain range. They were connected by the dragon veins and intertwined with each other. It was as if there was a mysterious connection between the 9 heavens and the 9 heavens. They emitted a vast and majestic aura of the holy path. This was some kind of powerful holy path array. Although it was hidden, Ling Xiao could feel a terrifying destructive force from it. Rumble. When everyone flew past the tens of thousands of sacred mountains, they saw that in the depths of the 9 heavens, there were 9 sacred mountains. They were like 9 dazzling suns, emitting an eternal aura. Chapter 1562. The 9 sacred mountains gave off an ancient and majestic aura that was as vast as the sea. There were strands of mysterious ripples that seemed to be able to split open the sky, causing the entire world to tremble slightly. The 9 floating sacred mountains were the 9 branches of the War God Hall. On top of the 9 floating sacred mountains was a huge bronze divine hall. It was surrounded by endless primal chaos qi and looked extremely mysterious. That was the residence of the War God Shrine. It was the place where the supreme being that controlled billions of lives lived. It was also the core of the 9 branches of the War God Shrine. Whoosh! Ling Xiao and the rest followed Duan Qin and soon arrived at the bottom of the 9 sacred mountains. There was a platform that was shrouded in white mist. On the white platform, there were many young figures with powerful auras. Their eyes were resplendent and shone with divine light. They were all very arrogant. These were the candidates that came from various heavenly domains to be promoted to inner disciples of the War God Shrine. There were many outer sect organizations in the War God Shrine. Other than the War God College, there were also some affiliated gangs, sects, divine kingdoms, and so on. The disciples of these organizations could also enter the War God Shrine and be promoted to inner disciples after meeting certain requirements. Ling Xiao looked over and saw that there were already several hundred figures on the white jade platform. Each of them had a powerful aura and were all in the Divine King realm. These genius disciples were all very arrogant. Their eyes shone brightly as they sized each other up. They were all waiting for the opening of the 9 branches. This is the Ascension platform. You all can wait here. Very soon, the 9 branches of the War God Shrine will be here. At that time, you will be able to become a disciple of whichever branch you are willing to join. Duan Qin said slowly to the crowd. Then, he turned around and flew towards one of the sacred mountains in the sky with Lei Muan. Junior brother Long, I never thought that so many people would be promoted to inner disciples this time. It seems like the strength of our War God Shrine is truly unfathomable. Tian Gang was also slightly surprised. The several hundred geniuses all had powerful auras. Some of them had even reached the late Divine King realm or even the Great Perfection Divine King realm. These people came from the lower heaven domain. They had passed through many tests and met the requirements to enter the War God Shrine and become inner disciples of the War God Shrine. After all, the cultivation conditions in the lower heaven domain were not as good as those in the upper three heavens. The upper three heavens domain was a holy land for cultivation. Even if one did not have any fortuitous encounters, cultivating here was 10 times or even 100 times better than cultivating in the lower three heavens domain. The people from Aries College were the last to arrive. They immediately attracted the attention of the crowd. After all, Aries College's reputation was well known among all the external organizations. However, when they saw that there were a few great perfection heavenly gods among Ling Zhao's group, some of them immediately showed disdain. After all, other than the 10 people from Aries College, the rest of them were all in the Divine King realm. Rumble. Before long, the world began to tremble. Light shone resplendently, and the 9 sacred mountains began to tremble slightly. They shone with boundless light in an instant, and mysterious runes began to float out. 9 streaks of light shot from the 9 sacred mountains to the ascension platform, turning into 9 figures with powerful presences. The 9 factions of the War God Temple were the Battle Hall, Sky Hall, Earth Hall, Yin Hall, Yang Hall, Wind Hall, Thunder Hall, Fire Hall, and Mountain Hall. Lei Qianjue. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed sharply. He immediately saw Lei Qianjue, who was wearing a black armor. His face was cold and majestic. His body was surrounded by blazing lightning, and his aura was unparalleled. Lei Qianjue's cultivation was extremely powerful. He had reached the peak of the 9th Revolution half-saint. His aura was even stronger than that of the reception elder, Duan Qin. He was only half a step away from the saint realm. The other 8 figures were also half-saints. Their auras were unfathomable. They were at the same level as Lei Qianjue. They should be the deputy hall masters of the other halls. Ling Xiao even saw Lai Yuan, the deputy hall master of the fire hall. In addition to the 9 deputy hall masters, there were also some inner disciples and true disciples of the War God Temple. They all had powerful auras, and their eyes were filled with curiosity as they looked at the crowd. Every inner disciple promotion ceremony of the War God Temple was a grand event. Therefore, it attracted many disciples to come and watch. They wanted to see if there were any peerless talents. When Ling Xiao saw that Lei Muwen was standing beside Lei Qianjue, he glared at Ling Xiao with cold eyes. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He felt that someone was looking at him. He immediately raised his head and saw that among the 9 deputy hall masters, there was an old man with white hair and a beard. He was dressed very sloppily. He was looking at Ling Xiao with a burning gaze. His eyes were filled with satisfaction. Could he be the great elder of the War God Temple? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He felt the aura of the indestructible combat body from the old man. He had heard from Chong Xuchong and his 2 senior brothers that the War God Temple was in decline. There were no hall masters and deputy hall masters. Only the great elder was still holding on. If it weren't for the great elder, the War God Temple would have been completely destroyed. Everyone, welcome to the War God Temple's inner disciples. This is an honor for you and a joyous occasion for the War God Temple. The War God Temple has a total of 9 branches. They are War, Heaven, Earth, Yin, Yang, Wind, Thunder, Fire, and Mountain. Your promotion to inner disciple will be decided according to your wishes and the opinions of the 9 deputy hall masters. Among the 9 figures, the one in the middle was a middle-aged man in white. He looked elegant and extraordinary. His eyes were deep and calm. He is the deputy hall master of the heavenly hall, Yang Fan. He is also the great disciple of the War God. I heard that his cultivation is only half a step away from becoming a true sage. He is very powerful. That's right. The War God is now the hall master of the heavenly hall. Therefore, I heard that Deputy Hall Master Yang Fan is in charge of all matters in the heavenly hall. As long as this person breaks through to the sage realm, he will immediately become the hall master of the heavenly hall or even the supreme elder. The heavenly hall is now the strongest branch. I heard that they are very strict in recruiting disciples. It would be great if I could join the heavenly hall. Everyone was discussing softly at the side. Their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement and excitement. Chapter 1563. Everyone understood what Yang Fan was trying to say. Although the promotion to inner disciple was based on everyone's wishes, it still required the approval of the 9 deputy hall masters. If they did not agree, no matter how many ideas they had, they would not be able to enter. Of course, the Sky Hall was the most popular faction. Almost everyone wanted to enter the Sky Hall because the battle god of this generation was from the Sky Hall. Therefore, the Sky Hall was also the most powerful faction. Other than the Sky Hall, there were also many people who wanted to join the Thunder Hall and Fire Hall, as well as the Yin Hall and Yang Hall that contained the creation of heaven and earth. As for the Earth Hall, Wind Hall, and Mountain Hall, many people were willing to join as well. However, almost no one considered joining the Battle Hall. Now, please choose the faction you want to join. In the end, the 9 of us will decide if you want to stay or leave. As soon as Yang Fan finished speaking, the 9 deputy hall masters exuded an extremely powerful aura. Each of them landed on the ascension platform and marked out an area for themselves. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Immediately, their eyes were filled with excitement as they headed toward their respective areas. Among them, Yang Fan's Sky Hall area had more than 100 people. Each of them exuded an extremely powerful aura. This was because most of them knew that the Sky Hall only recruited a small number of disciples each time. Otherwise, most of them would have rushed to the Sky Hall area. Other than the Sky Hall, there were also more than 100 people in the Thunder Hall and Fire Hall areas. Lei Qianjue and Lai Yuan's eyes shone with a hint of satisfaction. This result was within their expectations. Among the 9 factions, there was only one faction that did not have a single person. The sloppy old man with white hair and beard was indeed the Grand Elder of the Battle Hall, Lu Wenzheng. At this moment, there was no one around Lu Wenzheng. It was as if everyone was avoiding him like the plague. No one was willing to join the Battle Hall. Junior Uncle Lu, this time, the Sky Hall only wants 36 disciples. I will try my best to leave some for you. Yang Fan was afraid that Lu Wenzheng would be embarrassed and whispered to him with a smile. Don't worry about it. Lu Wenzheng waved his hand with an indifferent look on his face. In any case, it wasn't the first time that Battle Hall had declined and no disciples were willing to join them. Lu Wenzheng was already used to it. At this moment, Lu Wenzheng's attention was completely focused on Ling Xiao. He even felt a little impatient, wanting nothing more than to pull Ling Xiao over to the Battle Hall's side. However, Ling Xiao and the others did not seem to notice Lu Wenzheng's expression at all. They continued to stand there calmly. At this moment, Lei Qianjue's eyes lit up as he looked at Ling Xiao and said slowly, Long Outyen, Tian Gang, the 2 of you are quite talented. Why don't you join the Thunder Hall? I won't mistreat you. Although Lei Qianjue's voice was calm, there was an unquestionable determination in it. He actually wanted Ling Xiao and Tian Gang to join the Thunder Hall. Those who had already joined Lei Qianjue's group were taken aback by Ling Xiao's words. They looked at Ling Xiao and Tian Gang with envy and jealousy. They were actually chosen by Lei Qianjue personally. As long as the 2 of them nodded their heads, they would immediately become disciples of the Thunder Hall. However, it was still uncertain whether they would be able to join the Thunder Hall. Ling Xiao was also taken aback. He did not know what Lei Qianjue was up to. After the Great Void trial, Ling Xiao had already rejected Lei Qianjue's offer to take him in as a disciple. At the same time, he had also offended Lei Qianjue when Lu Wu was possessed by demon Saint Bo Yu. Yet, Lei Qianjue still wanted to take Ling Xiao into the Battle Hall. Was he not afraid of humiliating himself? Suddenly, Lei Qianjue's voice rang in Ling Xiao's mind, Long Outyen, as long as you join the Thunder Hall, I will write off everything that happened in the past. I will also give you the seal of the Flipping Sky Seal. Otherwise, you should know the consequences. I believe that you are a smart man and will make the right choice. Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold. He did not expect Lei Qianjue to threaten him with the seal of the Flipping Sky Seal. This old fart was really shameless to the extreme. However, before Ling Xiao could say anything, Lu Wenzheng was already furious. He glared at Lei Qianjue and said, Lei Qianjue, Long Outyen is destined to be a disciple of the Battle Hall. There is no way he will join the Thunder Hall. So, you better give up. Lei Qianjue looked at Lu Wenzheng and said calmly, Junior uncle, Long Outyen's talent is extraordinary. He is most suited to cultivate the martial arts of the Thunder Hall. Joining the Battle Hall will only be a waste of his talent. Moreover, it is up to him to make the decision. Lu Wenzheng was so angry that his eyes widened. He sneered and said, Lei Qianjue, you better tell me clearly. What do you mean by Long Outyen joining the Battle Hall will be a waste of his talent? If you don't tell me clearly, I will not let you off even if I report this to the God of War. What I said is the truth. Lei Qianjue said calmly. Seeing that Lu Wenzheng was about to explode, Yang Fan smiled wryly and said, Junior Uncle Lu, please calm down. Junior Brother Lei, please don't say too much. Don't ruin the harmony between us because of a disciple. As for which faction Long Outyen wants to join, why don't you let him think about it? As soon as Yang Fan finished speaking, Ling Xiao smiled and said, there is no need to think about it. Everyone, Vice Leader Lei has just threatened me with a voice transmission. He said that if I don't join the Thunder Hall, he will cause trouble for me. He even said that he will take away the flipping sky seal that was supposed to belong to me. However, I, Long Outyen, am not willing to bow down to others and become their lackey. Therefore, I choose to join the Battle Hall. Ling Xiao's words caused an uproar among the crowd. They all looked at Lei Qianjue strangely. A vice leader of the Thunder Hall dared to threaten an inner sanctum disciple? Wasn't this a little too despicable? Everyone looked at Ling Xiao with admiration and even sympathy. This guy dared to expose Lei Qianjue's lies. Was he really brave or was there something wrong with his brain? Was he not afraid of Lei Qianjue's revenge? However, there were also some people who looked at Ling Xiao with suspicion. They did not believe that Lei Qianjue would resort to such despicable means. Long Outyen, I don't know what you are talking about. My original intention was to take you into the Thunder Hall because I cherish your talent. However, you actually slandered me. Do you really think that I won't dare to punish you? That's right. Lei Qianjue's eyes flashed as he said calmly. His voice was cold and there was a hint of suppressed anger in it. Apparently, he was also angry that Ling Xiao had exposed him. This kid was not playing by the rules. Lei Qianjue, how dare you? Chapter 1564. What? Long Outyen is really qualified to get the seal of inheritance. Lei Qianjue is the one who beat him. The crowd was in an uproar. The seal of inheritance? Who was it? It was the key to opening the seal of flipping sky. As long as one could get the seal of inheritance, they would be able to fully control the treasure. Although many disciples of the War God Temple had obtained the inheritance mark of the flipping sky seal, they had all failed in their attempts to control it. However, this was also a kind of glory and opportunity. Many disciples wanted to obtain the inheritance mark. In addition to having the opportunity to control a supreme treasure like the flipping sky seal, they also had the opportunity to comprehend powerful martial arts from the flipping sky seal. Hee, the Thunder Hall has always been domineering. This might be possible. I thought that Long Outyen was slandering Lei Qianjue. I didn't expect it to be true. But, what is so good about Long Outyen that Lei Qianjue is willing to threaten him to join the Thunder Hall? Everyone discussed in low voices with different expressions. Their gazes towards Ling Xiao were filled with curiosity. Uncle, I don't have the final say on whether he is qualified to get the seal of inheritance. That is the decision of the outer elders. However, since you think so highly of him, I will let you have it. However, this kid is unruly. He doesn't obey the elders. Uncle, you should discipline him more so that he won't go down the wrong path and bring harm to the sect. Lei Qianjue's eyes flashed as he said calmly. You don't have to worry about that. Lu Wenjing snorted coldly. Then, he looked at Ling Xiao and his face became very amiable. Long Out Yen, don't worry. The seal of inheritance belongs to you. No one can take it away from you. I heard that you have won the tournament of the 100 academies. Once you enter the War God Temple, you will immediately become a true disciple of the War God Temple. A true disciple. The crowd gasped and looked at Ling Xiao with jealousy. They were all inner disciples, and they didn't know how long it would take for them to become true disciples. However, Long Out Yen had become a true disciple in a single bound. In the War God Temple, the status of a true disciple was equivalent to an elder, only slightly lower than a vice hall master. They could be considered the core of the War God Temple and had the opportunity to cultivate the War God Temple's 9 Supreme Saint techniques. Thank you, Elder. I am willing to join the War God Temple. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Elder, I am also willing to join the War God Temple. Me too. Ha ha ha. Wherever junior brother Long goes, we will go. Me. After Tian, Xian Wang, Zhou, and the others of the War God Temple to join the War God Temple. The of the War. This time, it was everyone's turn to be stunned. Originally, no one was willing to join the battle hall. Just like in the past, the battle hall would become the biggest joke of the 9 bloodlines. However, what they did not expect was that not only did Ling Xiao join battle hall, but everyone in Aries College was also willing to join battle hall. Good. Good. Ha ha ha. The War God Temple welcomes all of you. Lu Wenzheng was also very surprised. He then laughed out loud. Previously, he had heard about Ling Xiao from Chong He and Chong Su. Thus, his greatest wish was for Ling Xiao to join the battle hall. However, Ling Xiao had given him a pleasant surprise. Unexpectedly, the others were also willing to join the battle hall. Lei Qianjue's face turned ugly. He looked at Ling Xiao deeply. A glint flashed across his eyes, but he didn't say anything. Soon, the inner disciples of the War God Temple were confirmed. The disciples recruited by the other 8 lineages were very similar to the previous years. There was not much difference. Only the battle hall caught everyone's attention this time. They had actually recruited 10 great disciples. So what if they recruited 10 disciples? Soon, there will be no one left in the War God Temple. Everyone will be gone. Lei Muwen sneered. His voice was very harsh to the ears. However, his words still gained the approval of many people. After all, the Battle Temple was in decline. In the past, even if someone joined the Battle Temple, it wouldn't take long before they couldn't stand it anymore. In the end, they would leave the Battle Temple and become a disciple of another temple. Lu Wenjing frowned slightly, but he didn't say anything. After all, although Lei Muwen's words weren't pleasant to hear, it was the truth. The War God Temple wasn't just losing resources. Swoosh! At this moment, a ray of light shot over from afar and landed beside Lei Qianjue. The person bowed deeply to Lei Qianjue and said, "Greetings, Master." It was a young man in white. He had a slender figure and a handsome face. He had a faint smile on his face and he exuded an otherworldly aura. His cultivation base had already reached the complete Divine King realm. He was only one step away from the half-saint realm. He looked spirited and had a peerless demeanor. Many female disciples blushed and their eyes sparkled with splendor. "Greetings, Senior Brother Wuchen," Lei Muwen said with a smile when he saw the young man. The young man's name was Wuchen. He was Lei Qianjue's disciple. He was extremely talented and powerful. Among the many inner disciples, he was said to be the most promising one to become a true disciple. However, Lu Wenjing's face turned pale when he saw Wuchen. There was even a hint of pain in his eyes. "Wuchen greets Grandpa," Wuchen said hesitantly when he saw Lu Wenjing. He avoided Lu Wenjing's eyes. "Grandpa? Hee, I don't have such a good grandson like you," Lu Wenjing said lightly. The atmosphere in the air seemed to have become a little strange. Some of the inner sect disciples of the war god Hall began to discuss softly after seeing Dustless. Why did Wuchen call Lu Wenjing grandpa? Is he Lu Wenjing's grandson? But why did he become Lei Qianjue's disciple? Some people didn't know the reason, but they could see that there was something wrong between Wuchen and Lu Wenjing. Hee, you don't know about this, do you? Wuchen was adopted by Lu Wenjing and raised with great care. Although his talent was ordinary, Lu Wenjing spared no effort to teach him. He fed him all kinds of treasures and taught him powerful martial arts. He spent a lot of effort to cultivate him. However, Wuchen betrayed Lu Wenjing and became Lei Qianjue's disciple. He left the War God Temple and joined the Thunder God Temple. After he fell out with Lu Wenjing, he changed his name from Lu Wuchen to Wuchen. Someone whispered and explained the grudge between Wuchen and Lu Wenjing. What? This Wuchen is a traitor. He's worse than a dog. How can such a person become an inner disciple of the War God Temple? A righteous disciple said with disdain. Shoo, keep quiet. Do you want to die? If senior brother Wuchen hears you, you'll be dead. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and he roughly understood what had happened. No wonder Lu Wenjing's expression was so ugly. It turned out that there was such a past. Ling Zhao looked at Wu Chen with a cold gaze. What was the difference between such an ungrateful person and those scum who betrayed their masters and ancestors? He wondered what benefits Lei Qianjue had given him that made him betray Lu Wenjing and join Lei Qianjue. Chapter 1565. Wu Chen's gaze landed on Ling Zhao and the others. He smiled faintly and said, Grandpa, the battle hall has actually accepted 10 disciples this time. Congratulations. I heard that senior brother Long Outyen is now a pro-disciple of Battle Hall. Wu Chen's aura was powerful and there was even a faint trace of holy path energy around him. Streaks of purple lightning surrounded him and he looked extremely majestic. His slightly scrutinizing gaze landed on Ling Zhao and the others. There was an air of superiority about him, which made people feel very uncomfortable. You don't have to worry about it. Lu Wenjing replied flatly. Grandfather, why do you have to keep people at a distance? I also hope that Battle Hall can get along well with you. There are good and bad disciples here. Only senior brother Long Outyen is talented and can be nurtured. Wu Chen said with a smile. His voice was faint and faint. Lu Wenjing looked vigilant as he stared at Wu Chen and asked, What do you want? Grandfather, I just heard that this senior brother Long spoke rudely to my master, slandering my master and threatening him. Although my master doesn't want to lower himself to his level, as a disciple, I can't let others slander my master, so I want to challenge senior brother Long. Wu Chen said with a faint smile. Finally, he revealed his true purpose. What? Everyone was taken aback for a moment. Then, they became excited. Are we going to see an exciting battle today? The battle between the new pro-disciple, Long Outyen, and the inner sect genius, Wu Chen. Everyone was excited at the thought of it. However, Long Outyen would probably reject it. After all, the difference in cultivation between the two of them was too big. No. Long Outyen is just an early divine king. You are already in the great divine king realm. This battle is not fair. Lu Wenjing said coldly and rejected Wu Chen. Grandfather, I think you have forgotten. A pro-disciple cannot reject a challenge from an inner sect disciple. Since senior brother Long Outyen is qualified to become a pro-disciple, he must be very powerful. What's the difference of a few small realms? Although I am not talented, I cannot sit back and watch my master be framed. So, senior brother Long Outyen, please enlighten me. Wu Chen said faintly. Everyone was slightly stunned. The War God Temple seemed to have such a rule. However, the ordinary true disciples were at the semi-sage realm. So, how could an inner disciple dare to challenge a true disciple? However, no one had thought that Long Outyen would become a true disciple of the Battle Hall as an early God King as soon as he joined the Battle Hall. As a result, he really could not turn down Wu Chen's challenge. Senior brother Wu Chen is right. Long Outyen, are you going to be a coward? A mere true disciple, if you don't even dare to accept the challenge, then I advise you to scram back home. Ha ha ha. Lei Muwen sneered as he mocked and ridiculed. Martial Uncle Lu, this is a challenge between the younger generation. You'd better not interfere. It's a good opportunity for us to witness Long Outyen, the champion of the Academy tournament, and see just how amazing he is. Lei Qianjue said lightly. The other deputy temple masters didn't say a word. Each of them had different expressions on their faces. They knew that Wu Chen's appearance was a ploy by Lei Qianjue to attack the battle temple and Lu Wenzheng. Most importantly, Long Outyen did not have any leeway to reject Wu Chen's challenge. Although the difference in cultivation between the two was huge, but an inner disciple challenging a true disciple could only accept. Bastard, you've gone too far. Zhou Daoji and Lu Huan's eyes were filled with anger and anger. Lei Qianjue kept on causing trouble for them, and they could no longer tolerate it. If it weren't for the fact that their cultivation was not high enough, they would have beaten Lei Qianjue up. Hee ha, I didn't think that the War God Temple, which is known for being forthright and courageous, would actually have such a shameless hypocrite. He's full of evil tricks, tsk. Long Outyen, go and kill this ungrateful bastard. Black Donkey couldn't help but mock Wu Chen. Black Donkey was infuriated by Wu Chen's ungrateful behavior. As for the battle between Ling Xiao and Wu Chen, Black Donkey wasn't worried at all. Even the half-saint duo of the Desert North couldn't stop Ling Xiao, let alone Wu Chen. Damn you, Black Donkey, one day I will kill you and make you into a donkey stew. Lei Muwen said through gritted teeth. Black Donkey had angered Lei Muwen. He didn't know why, but when he heard Black Donkey's words and saw the smug look on Black Donkey's face, he couldn't help but want to kill Black Donkey. What a filthy mouth. Long Outyen, don't worry. As long as you don't want to accept the challenge, no one can force you to do it. Lu Wenzheng looked at Ling Xiao and said seriously. He knew how powerful Wu Chen was, but he wasn't sure about Ling Xiao's strength. However, he didn't think that Ling Xiao would be able to defeat Wu Chen. I can't avoid what's coming. First Elder, even if I avoid today's challenge, I'm afraid that people will think that I'm afraid. They won't bother me in the future. Therefore, the only way is to accept the challenge. Don't worry, First Elder. I will win. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. His gaze was very calm, and his voice exuded a powerful wave of confidence. Alright, since you've decided, I won't stop you either. However, Wu Chen is very strong. You be careful. Lu Wenjing nodded and said. Ling Xiao walked out very calmly and stood in front of Dustless. Senior Apprentice Brother Long, I admire your courage very much. In order to show my respect to Senior Apprentice Brother Long, I won't hold back. I hope Senior Apprentice Brother Long can give me some pointers. Wu Chen said with a faint smile. 3 punches. Ling Xiao looked at Wu Chen and said indifferently. What? Wu Chen was slightly stunned. I said, 3 punches is enough to defeat you. Since you want me to give you pointers, then I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Xiao said very calmly. Everyone was stunned, somewhat in disbelief. Long Outyen is too arrogant, isn't he? He wants to defeat Senior Apprentice Brother Wu Chen with 3 punches. What a fool. That's right. Senior Apprentice Brother Wu Chen is extremely strong. Even in the hands of a sage-to-be expert, he might be able to withstand 3 punches. Is Long Outyen scared out of his wits? Sigh, what a disappointment. I thought it would be an exciting battle. I didn't expect Long Outyen to be such an arrogant person. The result is already set. Long Outyen will definitely lose. That's right. It seems like Battle Hall is destined to decline. Everyone shook their heads in disappointment. Some of them even mocked Long Outyen without holding back. Senior Apprentice Brother Long is indeed very confident. However, I hope Senior Apprentice Brother Long's strength is worthy of this confidence. Wu Chen said with a faint smile. There was a trace of coldness in his eyes. Chapter 1566. Wu Qian was slightly angry as well. Ling Xiao was looking down on him. He was just an early divine king, yet he said that he could defeat him in 3 punches. Even though Wu Qian was a shrewd person, he couldn't hide the coldness in his eyes. Great. Then, let me have a taste of Senior Brother Long's skills. Wu Qian's aura skyrocketed, emitting a trace of resplendent lightning, but his entire aura became extremely terrifying. Boom! The blazing lightning around Wu Qian gathered on his fist. On the fist radiance, there were runes flying across the sky, like a piece of flying immortal light, suppressing Ling Xiao. As the punch landed, the surrounding space began to tremble. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Wu Qian's strength was indeed very strong. He had already cultivated the 5 Thunder Heavenly Spirit technique to the great perfection realm. Therefore, there was the power of wind and thunder when he attacked. Moreover, the power of the 5 elements gathered, causing his punch to contain an extremely strong destructive power. Boom! Ling Xiao stomped his foot and the ground shook. Golden light revolved around him as he unleashed the ultimate strength of his body. He instantly soared into the sky and threw a chaotic fist towards Wu Qian. The Great Elder brought you to the War God Hall and taught you carefully. However, you betrayed him for your own selfish desires. You are ungrateful. This fist is for your disloyalty and unfilial piety. Ling Xiao's entire body was shrouded in golden light. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he soared into the sky. His eyes contained a blazing sharpness, and his voice rumbled like thunder from the 9 heavens, causing the surrounding space to tremble violently. Boom! Ling Xiao's punch contained a terrifying physical strength that seemed to be able to tear the void apart. Even though Wu Qian's 5 Thunder Heavenly Spirit technique had been cultivated to the perfection realm, he still couldn't withstand Ling Xiao's terrifying physical strength. Ling Xiao's punch shattered the lightning that filled the sky and collided violently. Crack! Only to hear a crisp sound transmitted over, Dustless's arm instantly exploded. Wu Qian felt like he had been hit by an immemorial divine mountain. His body shook violently as his chest caved in. He spurted out a mouthful of blood. Long out Yen, you deserve to die. Wu Qian's eyes were filled with shock and anger as he said through gritted teeth. He did not expect Ling Xiao's physical body to be so terrifying that even his 5 Thunder Heavenly Spirit technique, which was at the perfection stage, could not hurt Ling Xiao at all. What infuriated him even more was that Ling Xiao had actually exposed his ingratitude and betrayal of Grand Elder Lu Wenjing in public. This was no different from tearing open a bloody scar in his heart, causing him to instantly fly into a rage. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao strangely. What Ling Xiao said was the truth. However, due to Lei Qianjue's influence and Wu Qian's talent, no one dared to bring up this matter in front of him. Now that Ling Xiao had exposed this matter in front of everyone, it was like a loud slap to his face. Of course, he couldn't accept it. Boom! Wu Qian's body was surrounded by streaks of purple qi. His aura became more and more terrifying. Heaven and earth trembled. Above the vault of heaven, thick lightning bolts were like mountains. Wu Qian stood under the vault of heaven, bathed in the lightning, like an invincible thunder god of war. Streaks of lightning merged into his body, causing his injuries to begin to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. His body glowed as his flesh and blood rapidly healed. He threw a punch at Ling Xiao, his eyes were extremely cold and filled with murderous intent. The sky was filled with purple heavenly lightning. It was as if his punch had shrouded Ling Xiao, forming a vast lightning world. Everyone's expression changed. Their eyes were solemn as they felt their hearts tremble. They could not help but take a step back. Divine Firmament Destructive Lightning Dao. I didn't expect Wu Qian to have cultivated this peerless sage technique. It's too terrifying. I feel that this punch can even tear the sky apart. The Divine Firmament Destructive Lightning Dao is invincible. In terms of attack power, it can be ranked in the top 3 in the Combat God Hall. It seems like Wu Qian is completely enraged by Ling Xiao. He even used this peerless sage technique. Everyone was discussing among themselves. At the same time, their eyes were filled with anticipation. They were all wondering how Ling Xiao would withstand the attack of the divine firmament destructive lightning Dao. Uncle, can Long Outyan withstand senior brother Wu Chen's divine firmament destructive lightning Dao? Lei Muwen's eyes were filled with excitement as he looked at Lei Qianjue beside him. It's hard to say. Long Outyan's cultivation has increased too quickly. His body is too strong. Even I can't tell his true strength. Lei Qianjue's eyes flashed as he said slowly. He was not as calm as he looked. Lei Qianjue recalled the Great Void trial a few years ago. At that time, Long Outyan was only at the true immortal realm. He did not expect that in just a few years, he had broken through 2 realms and reached the Divine King realm. This kind of cultivation speed was shocking. Lei Qianjue's eyes turned colder when he thought of Long Outyan's inexplicable hostility towards him. Rumble. Streaks of purple lightning that contained destructive fluctuations shot toward Ling Xiao. It gave Ling Xiao an illusion that he was undergoing the Divine King tribulation. The divine firmament destructive lightning Dao was almost exactly the same as the legendary divine tribulation. Kill. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a golden light. He instantly shot up into the sky. His fist was filled with a faint chaotic light. Divine power surged around him and the roar of a dragon filled the air. In an instant, he threw out over 100 punches, and each punch was unparalleled in its ferocity. The bolts of purple lightning were all blasted apart by him, turning into resplendent purple light, which was completely devoured by the blazing golden light around him. Bathing in the purple lightning, Ling Xiao stepped on the sky. His speed was extremely fast. In an instant, he traversed the vast void and arrived in front of Dustless. Boom! In the face of the vast divine thunder of annihilation, Ling Xiao's expression was calm, and his gaze was indifferent. He actually resisted it with his physical body. When the bolts of lightning landed on his body, the sound of metal clashing could be heard, and sparks flew everywhere. What? Wu Chen was completely shocked. His eyes were full of disbelief. This was the War God Hall's peerless sage technique, the divine firmament annihilation lightning Dao. The bolts of lightning contained the great Dao laws and the origin of lightning. They were extremely powerful and could destroy all life. However, those bolts of lightning were unable to break through Ling Xiao's physical defenses. Furthermore, there were also mysterious streaks of lightning emanating from Ling Xiao's body, and a majestic dragon's roar could be heard. When the lightning in the sky entered Ling Xiao's body, it was like a clay ox entering the sea, disappearing without a trace. Wu Chen, you betrayed War God Hall and took Lei Qianjue as your master. Relying on your strength, you bullied your fellow disciples. You don't know how to be arrogant. You only know how to be brave and ruthless. Now, you even want to kill me. This punch is for your inhumanity. Ling Xiao's voice was loud and clear. It resounded through the entire sky like the sound of the great Tao. It shook Wu Chen's body, and his eyes were filled with shock and anger. Boom! 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 Chapter 1567. Roar. The radiance around Ling Xiao's body was extremely bright. He roared into the sky and a dragon's roar came from his mouth. In an instant, the wind and clouds changed and surged in all directions. Behind him, there seemed to be a giant golden dragon shadow. It opened its mouth and swallowed all the lightning in the sky. The vast power of lightning gathered in Ling Xiao's palm. Boom! Mysterious lightning runes floated up. Ling Xiao held the lightning in his hand and punched towards Wu Chen. The lightning was surrounded by a faint chaotic mist. It gathered together and was filled with an explosive power. The fluctuation of the punch made Wu Chen's expression change. There was a trace of fear in his eyes. He felt that the punch contained an extremely terrifying power and was a great threat to him. However, Ling Xiao was too fast. He was like a bolt of lightning and was in front of him in an instant. The fist intent enveloped the void and enveloped Wu Chen. He could not avoid it and could only take the punch head-on. Block it for me. Wu Chen's body exploded with monstrous divine power. A golden armor appeared on his body. It flowed with a faint sacred light and contained an extremely strong defensive power. It was a half-saint treasure. At this critical moment, Wu Chen took out this half-saint treasure. Crack! Ling Zhao's punch broke through the lightning and landed on Wu Chen's body. The golden armor on his body instantly burst out with a dazzling radiance. Runes exploded one after another. In the end, they disintegrated under Ling Zhao's punch. The vast chaotic fist print was extremely powerful. It contained Ling Zhao's strongest physical strength and his comprehension of the law of lightning. Not to mention that Ling Zhao had inherited the Lightning Emperor technique, and his comprehension of the law of lightning was not below Wu Chen's. His terrifying physical strength alone was not something that Wu Chen could break through. Puff! Wu Chen spat out a mouthful of blood as a huge hole appeared in his chest. Half of his body exploded into a bloody mist. He looked extremely miserable as he fell onto the immortal platform. How is this possible? Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Wu Chen had used the divine firmament destructive lightning Dao, but he was still unable to withstand Ling Zhao's punch. Furthermore, he had been defeated so miserably and had been severely injured. Long Outyan's body is just too terrifying. He can actually sweep through God Kings with his body alone. Does he possess an ancient bloodline or constitution? Someone's eyes flashed as he said slowly. Looks like Long Outyan's strength and talent are the most terrifying among all the inner disciples. Everyone thought the same thing. Who was Wu Chen? Lei Qianjue's last disciple was a god king who had reached the peak of perfected god realm. He had mastered the divine firmament's destructive lightning art and was widely regarded as the most promising candidate to become a true disciple. Such a person was actually defeated by Ling Zhao in less than 2 punches. No one could believe it, but the more it was like this, the more shocking it was. Ha ha ha. Good. Lu Wenjing let out a hearty laugh. His face was filled with joy. Ling Zhao had given him a great surprise. He had never thought that Ling Zhao could possess such a heaven-defying battle strength as an early divine king. Junior brother Long's body is getting more and more terrifying. Even I can't see through it. Tiangong's eyes were filled with amazement as he exclaimed. Uncle, how? How is this possible? Lei Muwen's eyes widened in disbelief. He rejoiced in his heart, but he was also frightened. He suddenly thought of the conflict between him and Ling Zhao in Aries College. If he had insisted on fighting with Ling Zhao at that time, he was afraid that he would have ended up in a worse state than Wu Chen. Long Outyan was a freak who couldn't be judged with common sense. This kid's growth is too fast. Lei Qianjue's eyes narrowed. He never expected this outcome. Wu Chen, you have lost this battle. Come back. Lei Qianjue said expressionlessly. I've lost. I've lost. Wu Chen's face instantly turned extremely pale. He muttered to himself in a daze. That's right. No, I haven't lost yet. Long Outyan, I haven't lost yet. I want you dead. Dustless abruptly raised his head, and his eyes revealed a trace of madness. Rumble. His flesh and blood seemed to have exploded in an instant. Rays of blood-red light filled the air and shrouded his entire body, exuding an evil and ancient aura. However, his presence began to skyrocket wildly. Strands of divine light rose up as if his cultivation had surpassed the limits of God King in a single instance, reaching an extremely profound level of cultivation. Blood God transformation, kill. Wu Chen roared. Rays of blood-red divine light filled his eyes. His entire body turned into thousands of blood-red shadows, charging towards Ling Zhao from all directions. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He felt a great threat from Wu Chen. Wu Chen seemed to have cast some kind of powerful forbidden skill. It allowed him to break through the limit of the Divine King realm and temporarily possess the combat strength of a sage-to-be. Kill. However, Ling Zhao did not retreat. Instead, a ray of light flashed in his eyes. He roared and charged towards Wu Chen. The blood in his body seemed to be boiling. Thick blood vessels rose and roared in his body like real dragons. Vaguely, Ling Xiao saw the shadows of the 9 great emperors during the Divine King Realm tribulation. The peerless and invincible aura was deeply imprinted in his heart. Ling Xiao naturally threw out a punch. When this punch was thrown out, a vast fist print gushed out, as if it had shrouded the entire world. It was a mysterious force that could suppress eternity and destroy all living things. At this moment, it seemed like nothing existed between heaven and earth. Only Ling Xiao's destructive punch was left. Ling Xiao had struck out with the 9 Supremes Emperor's ultimate fist technique. Although he had only comprehended a sliver of the Quan fist intent, it was enough for his fist technique to undergo a mysterious change and possess unfathomable power. Wu Chen, you are ungrateful. You betrayed your master and betrayed the Great Elder. You disregarded the Great Elder's kindness and joined Lei Qianjue. You are a disloyal, unfilial, heartless beast. Do you still have the face to live in this world? Ling Xiao's voice exuded a brilliant heavenly might. It was majestic and mysterious, as if it contained a mysterious wave. It directly entered Wu Chen's sea of consciousness, causing his body to stagnate slightly. At the same time, Ling Xiao's fist enveloped him. Chapter 1568. The vast chaos fist seal shrouded the entire sky, exuding an eternal light that threatened to destroy everything in its path. The sky was filled with bloody shadows. The blood in Ling Xiao's body was boiling. His fist was like a dragon, colliding fiercely with Wu Chen. Kaboom! Heaven and earth shook violently as if the sky had been split into 2 halves. Half was golden while the other half was blood red. The 2 halves collided fiercely and then exploded. Wu Chen was sent flying as blood gushed out of his mouth. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He had used the blood god's transformation to temporarily raise his cultivation level to the half-saint level. He did not expect that he would still be no match for Ling Xiao. Moreover, he could feel the threat of death looming over him as the chaos fist seal came crashing down on him. Die! Lei Qianjue's eyes were filled with rage. Lightning surged in his palm as he slammed it down on Ling Xiao. The chaos fist seal was imbued with terrifying power. Seeing that Wu Chen was about to die, Lei Qianjue could not help but make a move. Lei Qianjue, how dare you attack Long Outyan? I will not rest until I am dead. Lu Wenjing's eyes were filled with sharpness. He had been keeping an eye on Lei Qianjue for a long time. He did not expect Lei Qianjue to make a move. Before anyone could see it clearly, Lu Wenjing's body flashed and appeared in front of Lei Qianjue. He waved his sleeves and there seemed to be a world inside his sleeves. It was filled with the mysterious power of law and instantly nullified Lei Qianjue's attack. Uncle Master Lu, if Wu Chen dies, I will kill Long Outyan. No one will be able to save him. Lei Qianjue shouted angrily as his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Kaboom! Lei Qianjue and Lu Wenjing were facing off against each other. Vast waves of energy spread out in all directions, causing the ascension platform to tremble violently. The confrontation between the 2 peak half-saint level cultivators was enough to make the onlookers tremble in fear. They could not help but take a few steps back. Lei Qianjue, Wu Chen will not die. Lu Wenjing said calmly. His eyes were inscrutable as he locked onto Lei Qianjue. It was as if he was ready to strike if Lei Qianjue made a move. Just as Ling Xiao's unparalleled punch was about to land on Wu Chen, the terrifying aura dissipated instantly. Only a fist imprint was left on Wu Chen's face, smashing his handsome face into pieces. He fell from the sky onto the ascension platform. Bang! The ascension platform was trembling violently. If it wasn't for the ascension platform's defensive array formation that was extremely sturdy, the ascension platform would have been smashed by Wu Chen. Ling Xiao stood in the sky as his black hair fluttered in the wind. Golden clouds circled around him, making him look like an undefeatable celestial emperor. He emitted an undefeatable aura. On the other hand, Dustless was currently sprawled on the ascension platform like a dead dog, his life or death unknown. Sure enough, it's 3 punches. Everyone's eyes were filled with incomparable shock as they suddenly recalled what Ling Xiao had said before the battle. Before the battle, everyone thought that it was a joke. However, after the battle, everyone was shocked by the outcome. An early divine king had defeated Wu Chen, who was a great divine king. Even Wu Chen's blood god transformation did not change the outcome of the battle. Even those who had become inner sect disciples of the war god temple had grave expressions on their faces. With such unparalleled talent, he would definitely shine brightly in the future. Of course, Ling Xiao would not kill Wu Chen here. If Wu Chen really died in his hands, Lei Qianjue would have even more reason to attack him. However, Wu Chen's current state was even more unbearable than killing him. I knew this kid was done for. He can only blame his bad luck for challenging Long Outyen. The black donkey grinned, revealing a row of white teeth. Junior brother Long has established his authority. Now that he has become a true disciple, I'm afraid there will be less criticism and trouble. Tian Gang said slowly. He saw that the inner disciples who were looking down on Ling Xiao had changed their expressions. Junior Uncle Lu, the war god Hall has taken in a good disciple. However, he is so arrogant and ruthless. I'm afraid it's not a blessing for the war god Hall. Let's go. Lei Qianjue said coldly. He then gave Ling Xiao a deep look before he turned around and left with the disciples of the Thunder God Hall. He felt extremely aggrieved in his heart. Although he did not instruct Wu Chen to challenge Long Outyen, he had tacitly agreed to it. Wu Chen was defeated by Long Outyen in just 3 punches, which made him lose face. Therefore, he did not bother to greet the others. He turned around and left. Don't worry about it. Just take care of your disciple. Lu Wenjing said flatly as he looked at Lei Qianjue's back. However, when his gaze fell on the heavily injured Wu Chen, there was a complicated look in his eyes. At this moment, the gazes of the deputy hall masters from the other factions landed on Ling Xiao. They suddenly realized that compared to Ling Xiao, the inner disciples that they had taken in paled in comparison. This time, there was only one shining pearl, and that was Ling Xiao. Great! His physical body is unparalleled and his fist force is out of this world. He has the aura of a victor. Junior Uncle Lu, this Long Outyen is extremely talented. I never thought that there would be such a big surprise during the promotion of inner disciples. Yang Fan's eyes were filled with joy as he said. With his early divine king cultivation, Long Outyen was able to defeat Wu Chen, who was a complete divine king. Moreover, Wu Chen was not an ordinary divine king. He was also extremely talented. Such heaven-defying combat strength meant that Long Outyen was extremely talented. Yang Fan even suspected that Long Outyen had some kind of divine body. Otherwise, how could he have such terrifying physical strength? His talent is not bad. Ha ha ha, Lu Wenjing also laughed, his eyes filled with incomparable gratification. Long Outyen, are you willing to join the Heavenly Palace? If you are willing, I am willing to accept you as my last disciple. Moreover, my master, the divine war god, will also guide you. Yang Fan suddenly looked at Ling Xiao and said eagerly. Lu Wenjing's face was originally full of smiles. However, he did not expect Yang Fan to suddenly jump in and snatch Long Outyen away. Little Fan, are you itching for a beating? How dare you snatch Long Outyen away from your junior uncle? Long Outyen is a member of the Battle Temple. No one can take him away from us. Lu Wenjing was about to explode. It was not easy to find a peerless genius who was willing to join the Battle Temple. How could he let someone else snatch him away? Chapter 1569. Although Yang Fan had a very high status in the War God Temple and was the disciple of the War God Temple, he knew that this martial Uncle Lu was not simple. This martial Uncle Lu was once a saint ancestor and one of the 3 saints of the War God Temple. However, due to an unforeseen event in the past, the 3 saint ancestors were severely injured and their cultivation fell to the half-step saint realm. However, Lu Wenjing's status was so high that even the war god had to respectfully address him as senior brother Lu. You don't have to worry about that. Even if I have to risk my life, I'll help Long Outyen become a sage. Lu Wenjing snorted coldly with an ugly expression on his face. Yang Fan's words made sense. He knew about the current situation of the War God Hall. Logically speaking, it would be best for Long Outyen to go to the Sky Hall. However, he was unwilling to do so. Martial Uncle Lu, Junior Brother Yang is right. It's a waste of Long Outyen's talent to enter the War God Hall. I'm afraid there's no one in the War God Hall who can accept him as a disciple. Lai Yuan, the Deputy Hall Master of the Fire Hall, said faintly. That's right, Martial Uncle Lu. You have to put the sect's interests first. The other Deputy Hall Masters hurriedly chimed in as well. Lu Wenjing's expression became uglier. He had a fiery temper and was on the verge of exploding when everyone provoked him. Martial Uncle Lu, as long as you agree to let Long Outyen become my disciple, I'll give him a perfect sage treasure and one of the 9 peerless sage techniques of the War God Hall. I can also guarantee that my master, the War God, will guide him once a year. Yang Fan suddenly gritted his teeth and said. He had taken a fancy to Ling Xiao's talent and was excited to see him. He had always been proud and arrogant and had never found a suitable disciple. However, after seeing Ling Xiao, he was immediately tempted. He could not let such a peerless talent be covered in dust. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect that Ling Xiao's peerless talent would be revealed in the battle between Wu Chen and Ling Xiao. So many Deputy Hall Masters were fighting to accept Ling Xiao as a disciple. Not only that, Vice Hall Leader Yang Fan even offered such a generous offer. A flawless holy treasure and one of the 9 great peerless holy techniques was one thing, but to receive guidance from the War God once a year was something that no true disciple could enjoy. Perhaps only the high and mighty holy sons would have this opportunity. Lu Wenjing didn't expect Yang Fan to offer such a condition for Ling Xiao. He immediately became anxious and said, Little Fan, if Long Outyen enters the battle hall, I know I can't be his master. However, I will accept a disciple on behalf of my master and give him the last chance to inherit the legacy. What? This time, Yang Fan and the other Deputy Hall Masters could no longer remain calm. Each of them revealed an incomparably shocked expression. This? Absolutely not. Yang Fan flatly refused. Martial Uncle Lu, accepting a disciple on behalf of master is absolutely out of the question. We will not agree, even Lord War God will not agree, although Long Outyen's talent is peerless, but he is not qualified to be Scarlet Dragon War God's disciple. That's right. Masters Junior Lu, if you accept a disciple on behalf of your master, wouldn't we have to address Long Outyen as Masters Junior? This is simply preposterous. Lai Yuan said with an ugly expression. The previous Scarlet Dragon War God has passed away. Although you were his unofficial disciple, you are not qualified to accept a disciple on behalf of your master. This matter is not negotiable, and I will not agree to it. The other Deputy Hall Masters could no longer sit still, and their expressions were ugly. They all knew that Lu Wenjing was once the unofficial disciple of the previous Scarlet Dragon War God. He was loyal to the Scarlet Dragon War God and had supported the Battle Hall alone for millions of years. He even held the last chance to inherit the Scarlet Dragon War God's legacy. Many people had the idea of inheriting the legacy, but in the end, they were all suppressed by the current War God. I don't need your permission on this matter. Master once said that as long as someone obtains his legacy and inherits the Flipping Sky Seal, even the Battle Hall Master will be his disciple. Lu Wenjing said stubbornly. Yang Fan smiled bitterly and said, Masters Junior Lu, you also said that only by inheriting the Flipping Sky Seal can one become the Battle Hall Master and Scarlet Dragon War God's disciple. It's not appropriate for you to accept a disciple on behalf of your master. I believe that he will be able to inherit the Flipping Sky Seal. Lu Wenjing looked at Ling Xiao and said slowly. Ling Xiao was slightly moved. Lu Wenjing had persevered for millions of years. His loyalty to the Scarlet Dragon War God was touching. Although Ling Xiao had already decided to join the battle hall, Lu Wenjing still spared no effort to fight for opportunities for him. This was a respectable old man. Thank you for your kind intentions, hall masters. I have already decided to join the battle hall, so I will not change my mind. Ling Xiao bowed slightly to Yang Fan and the others, but his voice was firm. Long Outyen, are you really not going to reconsider? Believe me, the Heavenly Hall is your best choice. Yang Fan said regretfully. Thank you, Hall Master Yang. I have decided to join the battle hall. Ling Xiao said seriously. Good. Long Outyen, don't worry. You have made the right choice. Lu Wenjing was a little emotional as he took a deep breath and said. Since that is the case, I will not force you. Marshal Uncle Lu, goodbye. Yang Fan was a little disappointed, but he still bowed to Lu Wenjing elegantly. Then, he led the disciples and flew towards one of the sacred mountains in the sky. Marshal Uncle Lu, goodbye. The crowd also left in a hurry. Soon, only Lu Wenjing, Ling Xiao, and the others were left on the ascension platform. Let's go back to the battle hall. Lu Wenjing looked at the crowd with satisfaction. Then, he waved his sleeve and a bright light enveloped the crowd as they flew towards the sky. The 9 sacred mountains in the sky were occupied by the 9 lineages of the battle hall. Ling Xiao could feel that the 9 sacred mountains were majestic. They were shrouded in clouds, but they exuded a vast aura of the divine path. Vaguely, there was a mysterious aura of light that intertwined with each other, forming an extremely majestic formation. Whoosh! Before Ling Xiao could take a closer look, the light around them flashed and they landed on one of the sacred mountains. When Ling Xiao saw the sacred mountain clearly, a strange look appeared in his eyes. This floating sacred mountain was bare. It was actually a barren mountain. There was not even a single tree. Moreover, there was no chi of heaven and earth. Whether it was the chi of gods or the aura of the saint path, there was no chi of heaven and earth. There were jagged rocks everywhere, emitting an ancient and vicissitude aura. This was the mountain gate of the battle hall, also known as the Battle Mountain. Ling Xiao could feel that the Battle Mountain was shrouded in a layer of mysterious light. It was like a barrier that sealed the mountain. Inside the Battle Mountain, there seemed to be an extremely strange devouring power that was constantly devouring all life, divine spiritual chi, and even holy path aura. If one stayed on the Battle Mountain for a long time, not only would they not be able to devour any energy, but their cultivation would also be affected. Ling Xiao finally understood why the disciples of the battle hall had left one by one. Moreover, they were all trying to avoid it. Chapter 1570. Tian Gang and the others were also dumbfounded. Although they were mentally prepared and knew that battle hall was in decline, they did not expect it to be like this. Even birds don't shit in this place. Even donkeys don't have grass to eat. The black donkey's eyes widened. After a long while, it finally managed to squeeze out a sentence. Although Tian Gang and the others did not say anything, they agreed with Black Donkey's words. Hee, it's actually not that bad. There's another benefit here. It's quiet. Lu Wenjing said awkwardly. He glanced at Ling Xiao with a guilty conscience. When he saw that Ling Xiao's expression was still calm and did not show any disdain, he felt slightly relieved. The group followed the mountain path to the top of the mountain. There was a green hall at the top of the mountain. Its walls were mottled and filled with cracks. It gave off an ancient and mottled aura. It looked like it was about to collapse. On the top of the hall, they could vaguely see the ancient words Battle Hall. Beside the battle hall, there was a row of stone houses. They looked extremely simple and unadorned, as if they had been casually built. A burly man who seemed to be more than 3 meters tall was practicing his fists. He looked vigorous, and his fists seemed to have formed a mysterious aura around him. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could see that the burly man had a majestic blood chi and a terrifying physical body. He was like a human-shaped Tyrannosaurus. Although his fist technique was simple, it seemed to have reached the level of perfection. A casual strike from him could cause faint ripples to appear in the void. The burly man's cultivation had reached the early Divine King realm. "Tainyo, come and greet your senior brothers and sisters," Lu Wenjing shouted at the burly man. Tainyo immediately stopped practicing his fist techniques and ran over excitedly. He seemed a little shy and reserved as he bowed towards Ling Xiao and the others. He stammered, Tainyo, greets. Senior brothers and sisters. Tainyo was tall and had a resolute face. Although he looked burly, his face still looked a little young. He probably wasn't that old. His eyes were clear and his smile was pure. He had a pure heart and it was easy for people to have a good impression of him. "Tainyo, you're welcome." Ling Xiao smiled and helped Tainyo up. However, when Ling Xiao held Tainyo's arm, he felt as if Tainyo was an immemorial mountain, extremely heavy. Only when Ling Xiao's arm flashed, did he manage to lift Tainyo up. What a powerful physical body. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Senior brother, you have great strength. The great elder said that I was born with divine strength and that no one can beat me. I didn't expect senior brother to be so powerful. Tainyo looked at Ling Xiao with admiration and said in a naive voice. Ling Xiao laughed bitterly in his heart. If he hadn't seen that Tainyo's eyes were extremely clear and sincere, without a trace of arrogance, he would have thought that Tainyo was deliberately showing off. "Tainyo, why don't you bring these senior brothers to familiarize themselves with our battle hall?" I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving first. I'll look for you later. Lu Wenjing instructed Tainyo seriously. Afterwards, before Ling Xiao and the others could say anything, he turned around and left as a streak of light. "Junior brother Long, why do I feel like the great elder ran away?" Tian Gang asked doubtfully. The great elder must really have some matters to attend to. Ling Xiao laughed bitterly in his heart. He could also see that Lu Wenjing was feeling guilty. The situation in Battle Hall was probably too bad. No matter how thick-skinned Lu Wenjing was, he couldn't stay here any longer. "You're called Tainyo. Don't tell me that Battle Hall only has you and Lu Wenjing." Black Donkey came over and asked suspiciously. Big Black Donkey, why are you so smart? Battle Hall does indeed only have the Great Elder and me. However, it will be lively in the future with so many senior brothers and sisters. Tainyo said happily. "You're the Big Black Donkey. Move aside." Black Donkey's face turned even darker as he turned his head away gloomily. Black Donkey didn't know what to say in the face of such a simple and honest fellow. He felt a little guilty. Everyone was secretly laughing. This was the first time they saw Black Donkey being humiliated. As everyone conversed with Tainyo, they gradually understood the current situation of Battle Hall. Currently, Battle Hall only had Lu Wenjing and Tainyo. As for the disciples that they had recruited in the past, they had all run away in a short period of time. The one that had hurt Lu Wenjing the most was Wu Chen's betrayal. The cyclic sky seal was the main reason why the Battle Hall had turned into such a desolate land. 1,000,000 years ago, there was a great battle in War God Hall. After the Scarlet Dragon War God was forced to leave the Divine World, no one was able to make the cyclic sky seal recognize him as its master. Although the cyclic sky seal was a treasure that was made based on the War God seal, it was the most powerful treasure in War God Hall apart from the War God seal. At that time, the Scarlet Dragon War God was only in the Sage-to-be realm. However, with the cyclic sky seal, he could kill a true sage. Over the past 1,000,000 years, many genius disciples of War God Hall had tried to communicate with the cyclic sky seal to gain its recognition. However, they all failed in the end. Moreover, over the past 1,000,000 years, the cyclic sky seal had been constantly devouring the world's essence and plundering all vitality. As a result, the entire War Mountain had become like this. Apart from the departure of the Scarlet Dragon War God and the subsequent deaths of the experts, the cyclic sky seal was the main reason for the decline of Battle Hall. The cyclic sky seal was in War Mountain. The fluctuation that Ling Xiao had sensed that could devour the world's essence and vitality came from the cyclic sky seal. Senior Brother Long, some of the pro-disciples from the other factions have obtained the cyclic sky seal's inheritance mark and are allowed to communicate with it. However, I heard that a pro-disciple from Thunder Hall has recently formed a mysterious connection with the cyclic sky seal and wants to take it away. Tai Nyo said angrily. Oh. Wasn't it said that no one has been able to communicate with the cyclic sky seal for the past 1,000,000 years? How could a pro-disciple from Thunder Hall form a connection with the cyclic sky seal? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he spoke. Tai Nyo isn't sure either. However, it is said that the pro-disciple from Thunder Hall has a very special physique. It is very likely that he is from the ancient War tribe. Tai Nyo said after some thought. War tribe. Chapter 1571. The ancient era was too distant, it was something that happened before the Great Era. This age was the age of the human race. The 9 emperors of the human race swept across the heavens, revitalized the human race, occupied the divine world, and suppressed the other races. The 9 emperors of the human race belonged to the Middle Age. Tens of millions of years ago, when the last great emperor of the human race died, it could be considered as the late ancient era. In these tens of millions of years, the great emperors did not appear. The human race was led by the 12 immortal sacred grounds and the various great emperor clans. The war god temple's extreme emperor weapon, the war god seal, was said to be left behind by a peerless great emperor of the war god temple. However, it was too long ago and no one could verify it. However, the war god temple did exist. It was just that they weren't strong and their whereabouts were secretive. They were few in number. If the true disciple of the Thunder Hall was really from the war god temple, he might be related to the flipping sky seal. Ling Xiao suddenly felt a sense of urgency. No matter what, the flipping sky seal couldn't fall into his hands. If he wanted to fulfill the dying wish of the Scarlet Dragon War God, he had to get the flipping sky seal to restore the glory of the War God Temple. Moreover, once the 100 years were up and the Divine World Gate opened again, the secret of Ling Xiao having the wordless heavenly book would be exposed. At that time, even if Ling Xiao had become a sage, he wouldn't be able to fight against so many people. Ling Xiao needed to obtain a sufficient position in the War God Temple. If he could become a hall master and wield the flipping sky seal, he would be able to kill anyone who stood in his way. Swoosh! A ray of light flashed across the void. Ling Xiao and the others saw Lu Wenjing return. 10 golden tokens appeared in Lu Wenjing's palm. In an instant, they fell into the hands of Ling Xiao and the others. This is the War God badge of the War God Temple, which is also your identity badge. There is a space within it, and it is considered a rare treasure. Some information about the War God Temple and your identity will be recorded in the War God badge. All you need to do is drip a drop of blood on it and you will know. Lu Wenjing said slowly. There were 10 golden tokens. One of them had the words, War God Temple, carved on it, while the other had the word, War, carved on it. This meant that the 10 of them were disciples of the War God Hall. No wonder Lu Wenjing had left in such a hurry. It turned out that he had gone to apply for an identity token for them. Ling Xiao found it funny. Lu Wenjing was probably afraid that they would be scared away. Ling Xiao immediately dripped a drop of his blood into the War God badge. The War God badge shone with a dazzling light. Ling Xiao saw a space with a radius of 10,000 zhang within the War God badge. Within it, there was a jade bottle and a few ancient jade books. There were 100 drops of sacred liquid in the jade bottle. This was a resource that every inner disciple could obtain. There were several ancient jade books that recorded some of the War God Temple's rules, the origins of the War God Temple, information about the various secret realms within the War God Temple, and so on. In the War God Temple, if one wanted to obtain various cultivation methods, martial techniques, or even peerless saint techniques, other than having a corresponding status, the most important thing was contribution points. The contribution points of the War God Temple were extremely precious. They were linked to the sacred liquid. 1 contribution point could be exchanged for 1 drop of sacred liquid. However, if one wanted to exchange sacred liquid for contribution points, it would take 10 drops of sacred liquid to exchange for 1 contribution point. Therefore, all the disciples of the war god temple, including the elders, would work hard to earn contribution points. Only in this way could they exchange for corresponding martial techniques, divine weapons, and miraculous elixirs. Although all of you joined the war god temple because of Long Out Yen, I can promise all of you that I'll choose a peerless saint technique for each of you when you break through to the half-saint stage. Lu Wenjing looked at everyone and said seriously. Everyone couldn't help but be shocked by such a generous offer. One must know that the value of the war god temple's saint techniques was extremely high. It would cost at least tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of contribution points. However, the 9 great peerless saint techniques would cost more than 1 million contribution points. Many true disciples could choose a peerless saint technique to practice when they broke through to the semi-sage realm. However, they would have to use contribution points to exchange for other saint techniques if they wanted to practice other saint techniques. Lu Wenjing had promised each of them a peerless saint technique. In other words, as long as they broke through to the semi-sage realm and became true disciples, they would have 2 peerless saint techniques. Although they joined the war god temple because of Ling Xiao, they were extremely grateful for Lu Wenjing's promise. Thank you, Grand Elder. We believe that the war god temple will be able to regain its former glory. However, I feel that the most important thing now is to let Junior Brother Long obtain the seal of the Flipping Sky Seal. If Junior Brother Long can control the Flipping Sky Seal, the war god temple will rise again. Tian Gang said slowly. That's right. I heard from Tai Nyo that a true disciple of the Thunder Hall has already established a connection with the Flipping Sky Seal. If he can control the Flipping Sky Seal, it will be terrible. We will support Junior Brother Long with all our strength. The Flipping Sky Seal must not fall into the hands of others. Zhou Daoji and the others said. Tai Nyo's words made them feel a sense of crisis. Zhan Tianqing of the Thunder Hall. That's right. He should be a descendant of the war tribe. He has the bloodline of the war tribe. That's why he can communicate with the Flipping Sky Seal. Even the war god thinks highly of him. Lu Wenjing's expression couldn't help but turn solemn. Although it was a good thing that the Flipping Sky Seal was in the hands of a true disciple of the Thunder Hall, it would be a disgrace to the War God Temple. Lu Wenjing naturally did not want the Flipping Sky Seal to fall into the hands of Zhan Tianqing. Long Out Yen, come with me. Lu Wenjing said to Ling Xiao after thinking for a while. He then led Ling Xiao to the ancient and dilapidated War God Temple. The War God Temple exuded an aura of vicissitudes. The walls were full of cracks, but Ling Xiao could feel an incomparably mysterious power from the War God Temple. Just a slight fluctuation was enough to cause the void to tremble slightly. Ling Xiao compared the scene in front of him with the memory of the Scarlet Dragon War God. He could not help but sigh. After 1,000,000 years, the world had changed. Everything had changed. Even the War God Temple in front of him had become extremely dilapidated. What did the War God Temple look like 1,000,000 years ago? Rumble. The door of the War God Temple slowly opened. Ling Xiao followed Lu Wenjing in. The War God Temple was dazzling. A mysterious aura intertwined and shrouded the entire War God Temple, isolating it from everything else. Long Out Yen, your real name is Ling Xiao, right? Lu Wenjing looked at Ling Xiao and said slowly. There was a strange look in his eyes. Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. He then nodded and said, So, Senior Brother Chong He and Senior Brother Chong Su have told you? Great Elder, where did the two of them go? Senior Brother Chong He received a mission from the War God Temple. Even I don't know about it. They have already left the War God Temple. As for when they will return, I don't know. Lu Wenjing said to Ling Xiao. So that's how it is. Ling Xiao nodded and said. I heard from the two junior brothers that you are an ascender from the lower realm. Moreover, you have obtained Master's inheritance. Although I don't know if it is true, I need to verify it here. Chapter 1572. I have no problem with that. Great Elder, how do you want to verify it? Ling Xiao said very calmly. Lu Wenzhen looked at Ling Xiao and said, My master, the Scarlet Dragon War God, left something behind. Only those who have received his inheritance can take it out. If you can take it out, it means that you have indeed received my master's inheritance. Then we are family. What if I can't take it out? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. If you can't take it out, then you are harboring evil intentions. I will search your soul to see what you are plotting. Lu Wenzhen's eyes flashed with a trace of sharpness. Okay, I am willing to give it a try. Ling Xiao nodded and said. Lu Wenzhen brought Ling Xiao to a corner of the battle hall. Next, a resplendent light shone from his palm. Immediately, a blue stone slab beneath his feet shot up and an ancient stone box emerged from it. It seemed to be glowing with a mysterious light. Kacha! Lu Wenzhen opened the stone box. Suddenly, a mysterious ripple spread out. A black compass appeared in the middle of the box. It looked very ancient and there were mysterious patterns on it. It's actually the time compass. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and his heart couldn't help but tremble. He finally understood that the Scarlet Dragon War God's time compass was placed in the battle hall and was not brought to the lower realm. That was why Ling Xiao obtained the time compass and not the time compass. Only by obtaining both the time compass and the time compass could one be considered to have received a part of the flowing time Great Emperor's inheritance. This is a treasure that Master left behind for his successor. If you can take out the time compass, I will believe that you are Master's successor. Lu Wenjing stared at Ling Xiao and said slowly. Take it out. Is it difficult? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that the time compass in the stone box was very mysterious, as if it didn't exist in this space. However, it looked incomparably real. Ling Xiao couldn't help but reach out to grab the time compass. Wang! A bright light shone. It was like a flower in the mirror or the moon in the water. Ling Xiao grabbed at the void and couldn't grab anything. This compass is called the time compass, and it contains the power of time. It looks like it's in a stone box, but it actually contains the universe within. It's separated by endless time and space. Only those who have obtained Master's legacy can take it out. Even I can't do it. Lu Wenjing reminded him. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could also feel a trace of the power of time flowing through his fingers, forming an incomparably mysterious connection with the void. It was as though only a special method could open the space-time barrier and take out the time compass. It's not difficult. Ling Xiao said calmly because the key was in his hands. Wang! Ling Xiao started to circulate the power of time. Strands of mysterious power of time burst out. Ling Xiao's divine power was rapidly consumed. The power of time was too terrifying. Even Ling Xiao couldn't endure it for long. His palm was filled with the power of time, becoming sparkling and translucent. Then, he directly grabbed at the stone box. The time compass was directly pulled out by Ling Xiao. Boom! At this moment, the time compass shone brightly. It seemed to have sensed the power of time in Ling Xiao's body. It exuded an excited fluctuation and turned into a ray of light, entering Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. This was the second time compass Ling Xiao had obtained. After the time compass entered Ling Xiao's body, it emitted a mysterious aura of time. It formed a mysterious connection with Ling Xiao's menstrual cycle, causing Ling Xiao's understanding of the menstrual cycle to increase by leaps and bounds. Is he really Master's successor? Although he had already guessed it, Lu Wenjing's eyes were still filled with excitement after confirming it. He had guarded Battle Temple for millions of years. Wasn't it all for this day? Now that his master's successor had returned, he saw the hope of Battle Temple's revival. Lu Wenjing's gaze also became incomparably gentle. His eyes were filled with anticipation. After a long time, when Ling Xiao opened his eyes again, he had established a deep connection with the time compass. Ling Xiao's understanding of the time compass had also increased by leaps and bounds. He began to understand the power of time stopping, and the backlash from the time compass had also decreased by a lot. Little junior brother, so you really are Master's successor. Lu Wenjing looked at Ling Xiao and said with a smile. Senior brother, I didn't expect Master to leave behind the time compass. I cultivated the time compass before, but I didn't find the time compass. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Ha ha ha. Don't blame senior brother. As long as your identity is confirmed, everything will be fine. Little junior brother, you need to do two things now. Lu Wenjing looked at Ling Xiao and said seriously. Senior brother, please tell me. Ling Xiao said. The first thing is to go to the Technique Inheritance Hall as soon as possible to cultivate the Tribulation's Immortal Holy Technique. You have already cultivated the Immortal War body to the perfection stage, and your physical body is extremely strong. If you can cultivate the Tribulation's Immortal Holy Technique in advance, your cultivation will definitely increase rapidly and you will step into the Sage-to-Be realm as soon as possible. The second thing is to strive to master the Flipping Sky Seal as soon as possible. For the past million years, the Flipping Sky Seal has been in the belly of War Mountain, absorbing the essence of heaven and earth and containing endless vitality. During this period, it will form an energy storm that even a Sage-to-Be can't get close to. However, it will calm down once every 10 years, which is the best time to communicate with and refine the Flipping Sky Seal. After a year, the energy storm of the Flipping Sky Seal will calm down. At that time, the disciples who have the legacy mark will come to War Mountain to communicate with the Flipping Sky Seal. However, you don't have to worry about the others. Perhaps only Zhan Tianqing is your biggest competitor. Lu Wenjing said seriously. Zhan Tianqing? Senior brother, don't worry. Only I can wield the Flipping Sky Seal. Even Zhan Tianqing can't take it away. A sharp glint flashed across Ling Xiao's eyes. Very good. After you obtain the Tribulation's Immortal Holy Technique and cultivate it, I will give you the last legacy mark of the Flipping Sky Seal. At that time, it will be easiest for you to refine it. Work hard. Time is of the essence. You only have 1 year. Lu Wenjing looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of hope. Okay. I will go to the Technique Inheritance Hall now. Ling Xiao nodded seriously. Although the Tribulation's Immortal Holy Technique was the peerless holy technique of War Temple, because War Temple had no master, Ling Xiao could only go to War Temple to receive the legacy. Lu Wenjing was not qualified to pass it to him. Chapter 1573. Between the 9 floating sacred mountains, clouds and mist curled up. Multicolored light shone in all directions as if it was a paradise. There were also many ancient and majestic palaces floating in the air. These were all important places of the War God Temple, including the Mission Hall, Technique Hall, and so on. Ling Xiao turned into a ray of light and quickly landed on the plaza of the Technique Hall. Ling Xiao could see that the Technique Hall was very lively. There were many powerful figures coming and going. They were all disciples of the War God Temple, preparing to exchange for martial arts techniques in the Technique Hall. The Technique Hall was all-encompassing. It was said that not only were there all kinds of deity-tier martial arts, there were also many saint techniques that were extremely powerful. Some of the ancient saint techniques were even not weaker than the 9 great exceptional saint techniques. After the disciples had accumulated enough contribution points, they would come to the Technique Hall to exchange for martial arts techniques that they liked. The huge Technique Hall was like an ancient divine beast hibernating in the sea of clouds, emitting an ancient and majestic aura. Ling Xiao could feel that the Technique Hall was emitting a mysterious Saint Dao aura. Mysterious runes could be faintly seen. Those were powerful spirit arrays that made Ling Xiao's heart palpitate. An important place like the Technique Hall was protected by an exceptional spirit array. Even a true saint would find it difficult to break through the spirit array. The Technique Hall was also one of the most important places of the War God Temple. Ling Xiao glanced at the Technique Inheritance Hall and followed the other disciples into the main hall. Junior brother, you look very unfamiliar. You should be a new inner disciple, right? What martial arts techniques do you want to exchange for? I can introduce you. Suddenly, a sweet-looking and tall white-clothed female disciple's eyes lit up. She walked towards Ling Xiao. Greetings, senior sister. My name is Long Outyan. I would like to know the exchange price of various martial arts techniques. Ling Xiao said with a smile. There were many disciples helping in the technique hall. They could earn contribution points. If they sold a lot of martial arts techniques, they could even get a commission. Therefore, many inner disciples would choose to enter the technique hall to earn contribution points. The white-clothed female disciple was one of them. Ling Xiao was not in a hurry to obtain the Tribulation's immortal holy technique. He also wanted to know what martial arts techniques there were in the technique hall. It could also be considered as helping Tian Gang and the others understand their future cultivation direction. Hello junior brother Long, my name is Bai Lulu. Don't worry, senior sister will definitely recommend the most suitable martial arts for you. What kind of martial arts do you want? Divine King martial arts or half-saint martial arts? Offensive martial arts or defensive martial arts? The woman in white said with a smile. Every new inner sect disciple had 1,000 contribution points, so many of them would choose to come to the martial arts hall to cultivate. Bai Lulu had never heard of Long Outyan's name, so she didn't think too much about it. In the Technique Inheritance Hall, the value of God King martial arts and half-saint martial arts wasn't high. They were basically worth a few hundred to a few thousand contribution points. Only the contribution points needed to exchange for saint techniques were relatively high. After all, they represented a powerful saint path. I would like to know the exchange price of holy techniques. Ling Xiao said with a smile. He didn't need the God King martial arts or half-saint martial arts. Even Tian Gang and the others didn't need it. They all had saint tokens. As long as they entered the Void Saint world, they would have the opportunity to comprehend their own Saint Dao. Therefore, saint techniques were the most important to them. Holy technique? Junior brother Long, the exchange price of holy techniques is too high. They can easily be exchanged for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of contribution points. It's not something that we can afford. I advise you not to bite off more than you can chew. First, choose a Divine King martial arts to build a good foundation. When you break through to the half-saint realm, it's not too late to choose a holy technique. Bai Lulu was slightly stunned. There was a trace of surprise in her eyes, but she still advised Long Outyan. When she saw that Ling Xiao was only an early Divine King, she thought that Ling Xiao was a new inner sect disciple who wanted to broaden his horizons. Therefore, she advised him enthusiastically. Senior Sister Bai, I just want to know the value of various holy techniques temporarily. Since God King martial arts and half-saint martial arts are useless to me, I will choose a holy technique to cultivate. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Before Bai Lulu could say anything, an ear-piercing voice came from the side. How arrogant! Everyone, come and take a look. This kid is only an early Divine King, but he said that God King martial arts and half-saint martial arts are useless to him. He wants to cultivate a holy technique. Ha ha ha! This is hilarious. The voice was extremely arrogant, filled with ridicule and mockery. It instantly resounded through the entire Technique Inheritance Hall. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao with different expressions. Ling Xiao frowned slightly. Immediately, he saw a young man in a white robe. He held a folding fan in his hand and looked extraordinary. However, his face was filled with mockery. To no surprise, he was a great perfection God King, and there were 2 late God King disciples behind him. When Bai Lulu saw the white-robed man, her expression changed. She wanted to turn around and leave. Junior Sister Bai, don't go. Why are you always avoiding me? You're making me sad. The white-robed man's feet flashed and blocked Bai Lulu's path. He waved the folding fan in his hand and smiled frivolously. Tang Fei, get out of my way. Bai Lulu's face was cold. Her eyes were filled with annoyance. Unfortunately, she was only a late Divine King. She couldn't avoid Tang Fei at all. Tang Fei was like a dogskin plaster. He had been pestering her for a long time. She couldn't stand it anymore. If it were not for Tang Fei's good sister, Bai Lulu would have turned against him long ago. Junior sister Bai, I'm sincere to you. How can you do this? I saw you talking and laughing with this arrogant kid just now. Don't tell me you've taken a liking to him. Tang Fei looked at Ling Xiao with an unfriendly expression. Ling Xiao felt a little helpless. Wherever he went, there would be such ignorant people. Ling Xiao had become the target of Tang Fei's anger. Tang Fei, what nonsense are you talking about? This junior brother is here to exchange for martial arts. Get out of my way. Don't disturb my work. Bai Lulu's face turned colder. However, Tang Fei didn't mind. He smiled and said, Sister Bai, I've come here to exchange for martial arts. Come, introduce me to all kinds of martial arts. Don't worry. As long as you follow me, I'm willing to buy a semi-sage level martial art to compensate you. Excuse me, please get out of my way. Ling Xiao walked in front of Tang Fei and said indifferently. Kid, what did you say? Tang Fei's gaze turned cold. His two lackeys sneered and surrounded Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao sighed and said word by word, I said, a good dog doesn't block the way. Please get out of my way. Chapter 1574. As soon as Ling Xiao finished speaking, the entire technique inheritance hall lit up. Everyone stared at Ling Xiao in shock. Did this new inner disciple really have the guts, or was there something wrong with his brain? How dare he speak to Tang Fei in such a manner? Who didn't know that Tang Fei was a tyrant among the inner disciples? Relying on the fact that his sister, Tang Yao, was a true disciple and was rumored to be the woman of the battle hall's holy son, Zhan Tianqing, he could do whatever he wanted among the inner disciples. Therefore, even if they were extorted by Tang Fei, most of the inner disciples would choose to swallow their anger. Junior brother Long, leave now. You can't afford to offend Tang Fei. Bai Lulu said to Ling Xiao anxiously. She could tell that Ling Xiao was standing up for her, but Tang Fei wasn't someone ordinary people could afford to offend. You want to leave? Kid, if you don't kneel down and apologize to me today, don't even think about leaving the Technique Inheritance Hall. Tang Fei was stunned by Ling Xiao's scolding for a moment, but he quickly reacted and said with a cold look in his eyes. His two loyal henchmen blocked Ling Xiao's path of retreat. Divine energy surged from their bodies as if they were ready to attack at any moment. Lightning flashed around Tang Fei's body. It was the aura of the Five Thunder Heavenly Spirit technique. Tang Fei was also a member of the Thunder Hall. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said indifferently, why does the Thunder Hall always have such uneducated disciples? What a disappointment. The sect forbids private fights. Don't tell me you really dare to attack me. Another disciple of the Thunder Hall. Ling Xiao was extremely annoyed. It seemed like a crooked stick would have a crooked shadow. The Thunder Hall had a vice leader like Lei Qianjue, and all the disciples were arrogant and domineering. The sect forbids private fights. However, if you attacked me first, and I only retaliated, then there's no problem. Kid, I think you're here to pick a fight. You're just a new inner disciple. Don't you want to tuck your tail between your legs? How dare you stand up for me? I'll teach you a lesson today. Tang Fei's eyes flashed with a cold light. Bolts of lightning gathered in his palm as he charged toward Ling Xiao. So you're saying that after you attacked me, you still want to distort the truth and say that I attacked you first? Do you think the people from the law enforcement hall are all fools? Ling Xiao said expressionlessly. The people from the law enforcement hall are not idiots. I think you are the idiot. Tang Fei sneered proudly. Junior brother Long, I appreciate your kind intentions. However, you should quickly admit defeat. The leader of the law enforcement disciples in the Martial Inheritance Palace is a disciple from the Thunder Hall. Bai Lulu was on the verge of tears. She whispered to Ling Xiao, her eyes filled with worry. Don't worry. Ling Xiao gave her a reassuring look, then raised his head and calmly looked at Tang Fei. I advise you to think about the consequences. If you attack me, I won't show any mercy. Show mercy? Ha ha ha. You are just an early Divine King Realm new inner disciple. How dare you boast so shamelessly? Tang Fei was stunned for a moment before bursting into laughter. His eyes were filled with unconcealable mockery. This guy still can't see the situation clearly. He still dares to threaten Tang Fei. What a fool. What a disappointment. The surrounding disciples were also discussing in low voices. Initially, they sympathized with Ling Xiao. However, they did not expect Ling Xiao to not back down at all. He even threatened Tang Fei. Their impression of Ling Xiao instantly worsened. In their hearts, Ling Xiao had become a rash, ignorant, and brainless inner disciple. It wouldn't be long before such a person would be played to death by others, right? You can try. Ling Xiao said calmly, ignoring the gazes of the surrounding disciples. Good. Very good. It has been a long time since someone dared to be so arrogant in front of me. Kid, let me tell you that there is a price to pay for being arrogant. Tang Fei stopped laughing. His eyes were extremely gloomy. Blazing lightning flickered around his body. Then, he slapped Ling Xiao's face. His palm print was extremely ferocious and contained destructive lightning. It was the Five Thunder Heavenly Spirit technique. His attack was extremely ruthless. Slap. A crisp sound rang out. A bright light bloomed in front of everyone. Before Tang Fei's palm could land on Ling Xiao's face, his entire body was sent flying. He crashed into the wall of the Technique Inheritance Hall. Blood spurted from his mouth and half of his face was swollen. What? Everyone was shocked. They originally thought that Ling Xiao would be taught a lesson by Tang Fei. However, they did not expect that Tang Fei would be sent flying with a single slap. Ling Xiao's figure swayed slightly. No one even saw how he made his move. Tang Fei was sent flying in an instant. Bastard, you're courting death. Tang Fei's eyes were filled with anger. Terrifying divine energy rose from his body. He leaped up from the ground and pounced on Ling Xiao. His two lackeys also had cold looks in their eyes. They surrounded Ling Xiao from both sides. You're courting death. Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold. Golden blood energy filled the air around his body. It was as if an ancient divine beast had awakened. It emitted a terrifying aura that could devour a person. His hand moved like lightning and grabbed one of Tang Fei's arms. His other hand slapped Tang Fei's face a few times. Tang Fei's head was spinning, and he was coughing up blood. His face was swollen like a pig's head. This was also because Ling Xiao had been merciful. Otherwise, Tang Fei's face would have been completely smashed apart by now. Bang! Bang! Ling Xiao didn't even look at Tang Fei's two lackeys. He stretched out his leg and kicked out like lightning. A terrifying divine power erupted and the two lackeys were sent flying at an even faster speed while clutching their stomachs. Their chests caved in and blood gushed out of their mouths. They were heavily injured. Slap! Ling Xiao kicked Tang Fei's face. His face was flattened. Tang Fei let out a blood-curdling scream and fell on his two lackeys. The three of them screamed like pigs being slaughtered. They were stacked on the ground of the Technique Inheritance Hall. The entire Technique Inheritance Hall was silent. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao in disbelief. Wasn't this newly promoted inner disciple a little too ferocious? He was just an early divine king. How could he defeat Tang Fei and his two lackeys so easily? Chapter 1575. I remember him now. He's Long Outyen, the one who defeated Wu Chen with 3 punches on the Ascension stage. Someone exclaimed in surprise. What? He defeated Brother Wu Chen with 3 punches? That's him. Everyone was completely shocked. After all, many of the inner disciples did not witness the battle between Ling Xiao and Wu Chen on the Ascension stage. They found it hard to believe. After all, Wu Chen had a great reputation among the inner disciples. He was one of the most promising candidates to be promoted to a true disciple. His talent was peerless, and his combat strength was ranked in the top 3 among the inner disciples. Ling Xiao defeated Wu Chen with 3 punches. Didn't that mean that Ling Xiao could defeat all the inner disciples? The newly promoted inner disciples could accept it, but those who had joined the sect long ago could not accept it. Their faces turned ugly. Tang Fei has hit a wall this time. He actually dared to provoke this fiend. Hee hee. Someone gloated. He defeated Brother Wu Chen with 3 punches. Bai Lulu covered her mouth in shock. Her eyes widened as if she was getting to know Ling Xiao all over again. She never thought that the junior brother she served would be so powerful. What's going on? At this moment, a cold voice sounded. The crowd parted, and a group of black-robed disciples walked in from outside the Technique Inheritance Hall. Each of them had a cold face, and they were all Divine King Realm experts. The leader was a young man in a black robe. He had a strange battle blade on his back. His body was strong like a dragon, and his face was cold. His black hair was loose, and he gave off a wild vibe. Especially his aura, which was filled with a faint layer of holy light. When he walked, there was the momentum of wind and thunder. Many disciples looked at him in awe. It's Brother Shuehua. Everyone was shocked, and they looked at Ling Xiao with sympathy. Brother Shuehua had just broken through to the half-saint realm not long ago. He had been promoted to a true disciple of the Thunder Hall, and he was also the leader of the enforcement team in the Technique Inheritance Hall. Shuehua was a member of the Thunder Hall. Tang Fei's arrogance was mostly due to Shuehua's indulgence. Now that Ling Xiao had taught Tang Fei a lesson, Shuehua would not let it go. Senior brother Shuehua, save me. This brat caused a ruckus in the Technique Inheritance Hall. I tried to persuade him out of goodwill, but he ambushed us and even beat us into such a state. You must seek justice for me. When Tang Fei saw Shuehua, it was as though he had found his savior. He quickly ran to Shuehua's side and pointed at Ling Xiao angrily. Tang Fei, your head is swollen like a pig's, yet you still have the heart to distort the truth. It's been hard on you. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His gaze was extremely calm. How dare you? Shuehua's gaze turned cold. He looked down at Ling Xiao and said, which faction do you belong to? The War God Hall forbids private fights. You actually dared to beat up your senior brother in the Cultivation Inheritance Hall, violating the sect rules. Take him down. Shuehua pointed at Ling Xiao and shouted coldly. He was slightly shocked as well. The kid before him was only an early god king, yet he had beaten Tang Fei and his 2 subordinates into such a miserable state. It seemed like the kid's talent was extraordinary. He did not recognize Ling Xiao, but he stood on Tang Fei's side without hesitation. Hold on. Ling Xiao's gaze turned cold. The 2 law enforcement disciples who wanted to arrest him hesitated for a moment. Although law enforcement disciples have the right to enforce the law, you want to arrest me without knowing what's right and wrong. Tang Fei attacked me, so I shouldn't be violating the sect rules by teaching him a lesson, right? Even if you want to side with him, don't you know how to do it? Ling Xiao sneered. He was slightly angry in his heart. The disciples of the Thunder Hall were indeed arrogant and despotic. Even the law enforcement disciples were the same. How we enforce the law is none of your business. I will naturally find out who made the first move. Moreover, what evidence do you have to prove that Tang Fei attacked you first? Shuehua said coldly as he glanced at the crowd. Those who met his gaze could not help but shiver and lower their heads. No one dared to offend a law enforcement disciple, especially one who was a true disciple. Senior brother Shui, I can prove that Tang Fei attacked. Senior brother Long first. Bai Lulu suddenly gritted her teeth and said. Junior sister Bai, are you sure? You know the consequences of perjury. Shuehua's eyes flashed as he stared at Bai Lulu. Senior brother Shui, I'm sure. It was Tang Fei who attacked senior brother Long first. Bai Lulu met Xuehua's gaze. Although her face was pale and weak, her eyes were filled with determination. Bai Lulu, you bitch. How dare you betray me? You dare to frame me with this brat? Just you wait, I won't let you off. Tang Fei immediately flew into a rage as he stared fiercely at Bai Lulu. He knew that no one in the Technique Inheritance Hall would dare to accuse him, but he did not expect Bai Lulu to be so bold. Bai Lulu bit her lips as her face turned even paler. Her entire body emitted a weak aura that made one's heart ache. Tang Fei, are you still a man? You dare to do it, but you don't dare to admit it. Looks like I've overestimated you. Ling Xiao stood in front of Bai Lulu and sneered. Brat, don't be arrogant. When we get to the law enforcement hall, I'll deal with you properly. At that time, I'll let you know what it means to beg for death. Tang Fei stared at Ling Xiao and said with resentment. Bring him and Tang Fei back to the law enforcement hall. Fighting in the Technique Inheritance Hall is a disregard for the sect's rules. How presumptuous. Xuehua stared coldly at Ling Xiao and said. Xuehua, you can't tell right from wrong. How can you be a law enforcement disciple? I'd like to see who dares to attack me today. Ling Xiao's gaze was extremely cold. His body instantly emitted a vast and unparalleled blood qi. He was like an ancient divine beast, causing the entire Technique Inheritance Hall to tremble slightly. If you dare to resist arrest, I'll kill you on the spot. Xuehua took a step forward. His gaze was as sharp as a blade. His body was surrounded by a vast saber essence that emitted blazing lightning as it pressed down on Ling Xiao. Just you. That's not enough. Ling Xiao sneered as he stared at Xuehua, not backing down at all. Rumble. The confrontation between Ling Xiao and Xuehua's aura caused the void to tremble slightly. Both of their auras began to rise, and the atmosphere became extremely tense as if a great battle would break out at any time. Xuehua, you're capable, aren't you? How dare you act presumptuously in the Technique Inheritance Hall? At this moment, a clear voice rang out, exuding a vigorous heroic spirit. Boom! Chapter 1576. As soon as Xuehua saw this woman, his aura immediately dissipated, and an embarrassed expression appeared on his face. He cupped his hands and bowed. Senior Sister Cheng, why are you here? Bai Lulu, who was originally pale, immediately revealed a trace of surprise in her eyes. She transmitted her voice to Ling Xiao. Senior Brother Long, she is Senior Sister Cheng Ying, a true disciple of our Hall. She is a warm-hearted person. With her here, Xuehua will definitely not dare to be impudent. Cheng Ying. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply. This Cheng Ying was also a true disciple, and her cultivation had reached the 5th level of the half-saint realm, far surpassing Xuehua's. Ling Xiao could feel the terrifying saint energy contained in Cheng Ying's body. It was like a blazing sun, incomparably powerful. If I wasn't here, how could I see such a good show? Xuehua, how dare you? Cheng Ying sneered coldly. Senior Sister Cheng, what are you saying? As a law enforcement disciple, I naturally have to enforce the law impartially and uphold the sect's rules when I see someone fighting in the Technique Inheritance Hall. I don't know what you mean by this, Senior Sister. Xuehua said with a wry smile. Beads of sweat began to form on his forehead. This Senior Sister Cheng Ying's background was not simple. Not only was she a true disciple of Hall, she was also the daughter of the master of Hall. Normally, she was like a devil incarnate. In the entire Thunder Hall, perhaps only Zhan Tianqing and a few other senior brothers could be mentioned in the same breath as her. Even if Cheng Ying beat him up, Xuehua would definitely not dare to say anything. Don't know what I mean. I have seen it all. That bastard Tang Fei dared to take liberties with junior sister Bai, and even attacked this junior brother. There is nothing wrong with this junior brother fighting back. Why did you not distinguish between right and wrong and want to take him away? Cheng Ying said coldly, glancing at Tang Fei. Immediately, Tang Fei trembled in fear and stood there obediently, not daring to say a word. Not to mention Tang Fei, even his sister, Tang Yao, would have to obediently call Qingying's senior sister when she saw her. Shui Hua complained bitterly in his heart. Normally, true disciples rarely came to the inheritance hall, which was why he dared to be so unscrupulous in favoring Tang Fei. He never thought that he would bump into the demon queen Qingying today, and even be noticed by her. Shui Hua hurriedly said, "Senior sister Cheng, it was my oversight. Since senior apprentice sister Cheng saw what happened, I will naturally deal with it impartially." Tang Fei openly beat up this junior apprentice brother, and this junior apprentice brother injured Tang Fei out of self-defense. Tang Fei only has himself to blame and will be punished with 30 lashes. Senior martial sister Cheng, what do you think? Faced with Qingying, this female demon, Shui Hua was afraid that she would go on a rampage if she was dissatisfied, so he did not hesitate to sell Tang Fei out. Hearing the 30 lashes, Tang Fei couldn't help but tremble. He was so frightened that he almost fainted. A trace of fear appeared in his eyes. The whipping of the law enforcement hall was a powerful holy treasure. When it was whipped directly on the body and primordial spirit, the pain would be magnified thousands of times. Even a half-saint would find it extremely difficult to bear. Although one would not be seriously injured, one who had tasted that kind of pain once would never want to experience it again. Thus, the disciples of the War God Hall would turn pale at the mention of whipping. Qingying looked at Shui Hua indifferently, sizing him up from head to toe, and finally nodded, "Very good. But I hope that you will deal with it impartially. You know the consequences if one of the 30 lashes is missing." Senior martial sister Cheng, don't worry. I guarantee that I will not miss a single lash. Shui Hua hurriedly said. Tang Fei, apologize to junior apprentice sister Bai and this junior apprentice brother. Qingying stared at Tang Fei and said. Tang Fei trembled. Although his eyes were filled with unwillingness, he still succumbed to Qingying's pressure. Junior apprentice sister Bai, junior apprentice brother Long, I'm sorry. Tang Fei gritted his teeth and said. His eyes were about to spit fire. Bai Lulu looked at him with some disgust and avoided him. Ling Xiao sneered and said, Junior apprentice brother Long. I'm a true disciple. You're just an inner disciple. How dare you call me junior apprentice brother Long? True disciple. Qingying's eyes suddenly flashed. She seemed to have thought of something, and there was a trace of curiosity in her eyes. Long Outyan? Shui Hua was even more shocked. He immediately thought of Long Outyan, the disciple of Battle Hall who defeated Wu Chen with 3 punches. He did not expect it to be this brat in front of him. Tang Fei stared at Ling Xiao and took a deep breath. Senior apprentice brother Long, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Ling Xiao said indifferently, Tang Fei, let me give you a piece of advice. You can't be too arrogant. Look at the cycle of reincarnation. Who has the heavens spared? Be careful that you don't die a graveless death. Tang Fei's lungs were about to explode from anger. He had been taught a lesson by Ling Xiao, and now he actually had to lower his head and apologize to Ling Xiao. This made him feel extremely humiliated, and his hatred for Ling Xiao had reached its peak. Senior apprentice brother Long, Tang Fei will never forget today's generous gift. I will definitely repay you generously in the future. Tang Fei looked at Ling Xiao with incomparable resentment and turned to leave the technique hall. Senior martial sister Cheng, farewell. Shui Hua also hurriedly bowed to Qingying before fleeing with a group of law enforcement disciples in a sorry state. Seeing Shui Hua, Tang Fei, and the others fleeing in a sorry state, the crowd hurriedly dispersed. Qingying's gaze landed on Ling Xiao. She asked curiously, You're Long Outyan? An early divine king who defeated Wu Chen with 3 punches is indeed extraordinary. You're here to exchange for the tribulation's indestructible saint technique, right? Ling Xiao smiled. Senior martial sister Cheng is right. I'm here to exchange for the tribulation's indestructible saint technique. Bai Lulu's face turned slightly red. She said to Ling Xiao in embarrassment, Senior Apprentice Brother Long, I'm sorry. I thought you were here to exchange for an ordinary Divine King martial technique. It's alright. I still have to thank Junior Martial Sister Bai for speaking up for me. Ling Xiao smiled. Qing Ying's eyes flashed. She looked at Ling Xiao and said, Junior Martial Brother Long, I'll bring you to obtain the inheritance of the Tribulation's indestructible saint technique. Perhaps I still have something that I need your help with. Thank you, Senior Martial Sister. As long as I can do it, I'll definitely do it. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Ling Xiao and Cheng Ying walked towards the depths of the Technique Inheritance Hall. This was a restricted area of the Technique Inheritance Hall. Ordinary people would not be able to enter. However, as Cheng Ying and Ling Xiao were both true disciples, they did not encounter any obstructions along the way. However, Ling Xiao's sharp senses told him that as they walked towards the depths of the Technique Inheritance Hall, many powerful divine senses fell on them along the way. They seemed to be probing and examining them. If they found anything amiss, they would immediately kill them. In the end, Cheng Ying brought Ling Xiao to a large hall that was filled with chaotic mist. There were a total of 9 scrolls in the hall. They shone brightly and looked extremely mysterious. These 9 scrolls are the 9 great saint techniques of the War God Temple. Normally, if you want to comprehend the 9 great saint techniques, you'll need a huge amount of contribution points. However, after you become a true disciple, you'll have a chance to comprehend them for free. The Tribulation's indestructible saint technique is the first scroll. In the entire War God Temple, very few disciples cultivate the Tribulation's indestructible saint technique. It's just too difficult. Cheng Ying said to Ling Xiao as she looked at the 9 scrolls in front of her. Chapter 1577. Inside the hall filled with primal chaos chi, the 9 scrolls fell like a river from the heavens, emitting ancient and vast ripples. Standing before the 9 scrolls, Ling Xiao felt a sense of insignificance. However, the 9 scrolls were all covered by chaotic chi, making it impossible to see their contents. Junior Brother Long, I'll wait for you outside. I hope you can successfully obtain the indestructible saint technique. Cheng Ying smiled at Ling Xiao, then turned and walked out. Ling Xiao's gaze was already attracted by the 9 scrolls. He could feel the majestic Saint Tao true intent contained in the 9 scrolls. These were the 9 peerless saint techniques of the War God Shrine. They were also the strongest techniques of the War God Shrine aside from the secret technique of War God Shrine. Not only was there the divine sense of experts gathered in this chaotic hall, but there were also terrifying ripples of formations. Even a saint would die without a doubt if he barged in here. The Technique Inheritance Hall was one of the most important places of the War God Shrine. Hence, the security was extremely tight. Ling Xiao calmed himself down and walked to the first scroll. Buzz! Ling Xiao's War God token shone with resplendent light, instantly transforming into a beam of light that shot towards the painting. The War God token was like a key. Ling Xiao watched as the chaotic mist above the painting started to disperse, gradually revealing the contents within. Rumble. As if there were streaks of dazzling lightning, the world trembled and the chaos exploded. Endless divine light spewed out, directly sweeping Ling Xiao into the scroll. Vaguely, Ling Xiao felt as if he had arrived at the beginning of ancient times. Everything around him was chaos. There were no living things, no world, and he couldn't even feel the passage of time. Ling Xiao was like a bystander, looking at everything before him. Crack! A mysterious bolt of lightning bloomed in the chaos. Ling Xiao saw a mysterious figure appear. He was billions of miles tall, stepping on the chaos, and his head was in the void. Although his face was blurry, his entire body exuded an immortal and indestructible ripple. The chaos in the surroundings seemed to be enraged. Streaks of blazing lightning, flames, and divine light struck down on the figure, containing terrifying destructive power. Ling Xiao could feel that this was the most fundamental of energies. Just a strand of it would probably be enough to turn him into dust. Even with his current unparalleled physical strength, he still wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, when the destructive power landed on the figure, it did not cause any harm. That figure's body was sparkling and translucent. Every particle around his body was like a mysterious world. They were surrounded by a faint chaotic light that devoured the terrifying destructive power. Xia! Ling Xiao heard the figure roar. It was a voice that seemed to split the heavens and earth apart. It contained a mysterious and vast power, resonating with the chaos in the surroundings. Ling Xiao could not help but shudder. In an instant, millions of rays of light blossomed from the primal chaos. The primal chaos exploded. Clear qi rose to the sky, and turbid qi sank to the ground. Yin, yang, and the 5 elements evolved. Earth, water, wind, and fire stabilized the 4 poles of heaven and earth. A vast world was opened. As for the mysterious figure, he stood above the 9 heavens, pushing the sun, moon, and stars as he moved. His entire body emitted an eternal and immortal fluctuation. Primal chaos creates the heavens, yin and yang give birth to the 5 elements, calamities create the world, calamities destroy all things, and after experiencing all calamities return, immortality and indestructibility. Ling Xiao saw the mysterious figure step through the sky as he chanted a mysterious scripture. The surrounding world resonated as if it contained a brand of the world. The scripture was like a resplendent streak of light, directly passing through space and into Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. Tremendous streams of energy exploded in his sea of consciousness, turning into a vast expanse of light that enveloped his soul. Ling Xiao immediately sat down cross-legged in the middle of the chaos, entering a mysterious state of enlightenment. In a mysterious world, the sun above the 9 heavens seemed eternal. It radiated with a mysterious and tremendous presence. Endless flames permeated the sun and golden crows circled around it. A white-robed figure sat above the sun. A mysterious world of fire seemed to form around him. Countless living beings were reborn and then destroyed. It was an extremely wondrous sight. At this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes. Immediately, 2 blazing beams of divine light shot out as if they had passed through numerous worlds and landed on Ling Xiao's body. The world of fire around him was instantly destroyed. He actually obtained the true meaning of the indestructible saint technique? Interesting. It's been 1,000,000 years since someone obtained the true meaning of the indestructible saint technique. I wonder where he is now. The white-robed figure's eyes were resplendent, bright, and ancient as if they could see through everything. The great calamity of an epoch is about to return. I hope everything is not too late. The white-clothed figure sighed softly, and then slowly closed his eyes again. Ling Xiao did not know how long he had been sitting in the painting. When he opened his eyes again, he was sitting cross-legged in front of the first painting. It was as if everything that had just happened was an illusion. However, Ling Xiao knew that it was not an illusion. Is this the inheritance of the indestructible saint technique? It's really powerful, but it's a little too difficult to learn it. I actually have to use tribulation qi to refine my body. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of astonishment. He also understood what Chengying was saying. The myriad culpas and tribulations everlasting saint technique was truly terrifying. Ling Xiao had seen that figure in the primordial chaos. Heaven and earth could be destroyed, but he couldn't be destroyed. Everything could decay, but he couldn't be destroyed. That invincible aura had left a deep impression on him. Ling Xiao guessed that it was a power that could only be obtained by practicing the indestructible saint technique to the extreme. To practice the indestructible saint technique, one had to use the boundless tribulation qi of heaven and earth to refine the body. Then, a tribulation seed would form in the body. With the tribulation seed as the foundation, one would be considered to have completed the foundation and be able to practice the indestructible saint technique. The so-called tribulation qi was a kind of heaven and earth spirit qi. There was tribulation qi in the thunder tribulation of martial artists. There was tribulation qi in the nirvana tribulation of half-saints. There was tribulation qi in the ominous formation and killing formation. There was also tribulation qi in the body of a demon who had slaughtered millions of creatures. Tribulation qi was very mysterious. It was difficult to catch. Take the Divine King tribulation for example. The ninth heaven divine thunder was called thunder tribulation because it contained tribulation chi. Otherwise, it would be just an ordinary thunderbolt. It was similar to the thunder tribulation for martial artists who practiced the thunder way martial arts. The thunderbolt force that erupted didn't contain tribulation chi. Tribulation chi was extremely mysterious. It could dictate the life and death of martial artists and their cultivation realm. Crossing the tribulation was also a process of fighting with tribulation chi. Chapter 1578. There's still a long way to go before I can cultivate the indestructible divine technique. However, if I can condense the calamity seed, I'll have a better chance of taking control of the cyclic sky seal from Zhan Tianqing. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. Zhan Tianqing was a member of the war tribe, and Ling Xiao believed that in order to control the flipping sky seal, Zhan Tianqing must have cultivated the indestructible saint technique. He might have even condensed a calamity seed. Ling Xiao felt great pressure. The easiest place to collect calamity chi is when a warrior is undergoing the thunder tribulation. Maybe I can help senior brother and the rest to pass the divine king tribulation. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Ling Xiao was probably the only one who could help others pass the divine king tribulation. He believed that even Zhan Tianqing would not dare to use such a method to collect calamity chi. The thunder tribulation was a test for a warrior. If others helped to pass the tribulation, it would only increase the power of the thunder tribulation and they would die under the thunder tribulation. However, Ling Xiao could use the heaven-shrouding secret technique to conceal his aura and steal calamity chi during the thunder tribulation. It could be said to be killing two birds with one stone. The heaven-shrouding secret technique was said to be able to cover even the sky. Ling Xiao had obtained the complete heaven-shrouding secret technique. The more he cultivated, the more he could feel the magical effects of the heaven-shrouding secret technique. Ling Xiao left the technique hall. Outside the technique hall, Qingying did not leave and was still waiting for Ling Xiao. Junior brother Long, you came out so quickly. Didn't you inherit the indestructible divine technique? There was a hint of surprise in Qingying's eyes. At the same time, she was somewhat disappointed. How long was I in there? Ling Xiao was stunned. He felt that he had been in the painting for a long time, but Qingying did not seem to be the case. You don't know how long you were in there. I just came out. It wasn't even 15 minutes and you came out. Qingying looked at Ling Xiao strangely. 15 minutes? I thought I was in there for a long time. Ling Xiao was taken aback. He must have spent an extremely long time comprehending the tribulation's indestructible saint technique in the painting. The only explanation was that the flow of time in the mysterious space was different from the flow of time in the outside world. Junior brother Long, although the myriad tribulation's indestructible holy technique is extremely difficult to comprehend, there's no need for you to come out so quickly, right? What a waste of an opportunity. Qingying said regretfully. Senior sister Cheng, I've already obtained the inheritance of the tribulation's indestructible holy technique. Ling Xiao looked at Qingying and smiled. What? It was Qingying's turn to be shocked. Junior brother Long, you obtained the inheritance of the myriad tribulation's indestructible holy technique in just 15 minutes? How was this possible? It was said that even Zhan Tianqing, who claimed to be the fastest to comprehend the myriad tribulation's indestructible holy technique in the past million years, took him 3 days and 3 nights to comprehend it. You really gave me a surprise. Qingying said emotionally. She looked at Ling Xiao carefully, as if it was her first time seeing Ling Xiao. It took Zhan Tianqing 3 days and 3 nights. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had a faint guess in his heart that it was probably because he had entered the painting. He just didn't know if everyone would enter the painting to obtain the inheritance. It seemed that he had to go back and ask Senior Lu Wenzheng. That's right. However, it seems that Zhan Tianqing is nothing compared to you, Junior brother Long. Junior brother Long, since you've obtained the inheritance of the tribulation's indestructible holy technique, you must need the tribulation aura to condense the tribulation seed, right? Qingying praised Ling Xiao and then said embarrassedly, you're right. That's right. I do need the tribulation aura to condense the tribulation seed. Ling Xiao smiled. He could vaguely guess the reason why Qingying had come to him. Junior brother Long, I won't hide it from you. I'm preparing to go through the 6th Nirvana tribulation. However, the 9-cycle Nirvana tribulations of a sage to be are getting more and more dangerous. Even I don't have much confidence. Therefore, I hope that you can help me once. I believe that the tribulation aura of my Nirvana tribulation is very important to you. Qingying said seriously as she looked at Ling Xiao with a serious expression. You want me to help you go through the Nirvana tribulation? Senior sister Cheng, aren't you overestimating me? Aren't you afraid that with my help, the Nirvana tribulation will be even more dangerous? Moreover, Zhan Tianqing has also cultivated the tribulation's indestructible holy technique. Why did you come to me? Ling Xiao looked at Qingying curiously. Junior brother Long, I know that you have a lot of doubts in your heart. I will explain them to you one by one. Qingying said seriously, if you don't have any means to help me go through the Nirvana tribulation, it will indeed make the Nirvana tribulation more dangerous. However, I have a heaven-shrouding ancient talisman with me. It can perfectly conceal your aura and prevent heaven and earth from sensing your presence. It will make it easier for you to refine the tribulation aura. As for why I didn't ask Zhan Tianqing for help, firstly, the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman was obtained from an ancient relic. It is incomplete and can only be used by people below the sage-to-be level. Secondly, I don't like Zhan Tianqing and I don't trust him. Heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He didn't expect Qingying to have such a treasure. The heaven-shrouding ancient talisman was a magical holy talisman developed by a talisman saint who had obtained the heaven-shrouding secret technique during the ancient times. It could perfectly conceal a martial artist's aura and even traces of his true spirit and destiny. It was similar to the invisibility talisman but much more powerful. However, there weren't many talisman saints in the god world. Moreover, the heaven-shrouding secret technique was incomplete. Therefore, no one could refine the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. If Qingying had the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman, this plan would indeed work. Moreover, it would also prevent Ling Xiao from exposing the heaven-shrouding secret technique. Look, this is it. A light flashed in Qingying's palm and a black jade talisman appeared. There were many mysterious talisman lines on it that outlined the cloud seal script. It was very magical. However, this jade talisman was missing a corner. It was no wonder that it could only be used by experts below the sage-to-be level. Senior sister Cheng, when are you going to go through the Nirvana tribulation? I have a presumptuous request. Can you let me study this heaven-shrouding ancient talisman first? Ling Xiao looked at Qingying and said embarrassedly. The reason why Ling Xiao asked for the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman was because he wanted to study the refining method of the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. If he could develop the refining method of the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman, even if he couldn't refine a holy talisman, it would be enough for him to use. Qingying hesitated for a moment but still nodded and said, sure. However, there is only one use left for the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. You can study it but you have to be careful. I'm counting on it to go through the Nirvana tribulation. Senior sister Cheng, don't worry. I'm just studying it. Perhaps I can refine the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. Chapter 1579. If junior brother Long can really refine the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman, the sect might even give you the position of deputy hall master. Ha! Qingying laughed and handed the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman to Ling Xiao. However, she was obviously joking. This was an ancient sacred talisman that had been lost for a long time. She naturally did not think that Ling Xiao would be able to refine the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. Thank you. Ling Xiao said seriously. He was slightly touched by Qingying's generosity and trust. After all, this was the first time they had met. Junior brother Long, I'll give you a piece of advice. Don't tell anyone that you have comprehended the indestructible sacred technique in 15 minutes. Although Zhan Tianqing is talented, he is not very scheming. If he finds out, it will be disadvantageous to you. Cheng-Ying reminded him before she left. Zhan Tianqing. Thank you for telling me. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed sharply. After bidding farewell to Cheng-Ying, he returned to Battle Hall. On Battle Mountain. When Lu Wenjing heard that Ling Xiao had obtained the inheritance of the Tribulation's indestructible saint technique in 15 minutes, his eyes lit up with excitement. Junior brother, the Tribulation's indestructible holy technique is the most difficult and powerful holy technique in our War God Temple. Ordinary people can only comprehend the inheritance and cultivation method of the Tribulation's indestructible holy technique, but you must have obtained the true meaning of the Tribulation's indestructible holy technique. Lu Wenjing said seriously. The true meaning of the inheritance? No wonder I was able to enter the painting. Ling Xiao nodded and said. Junior brother, in the next year, try to collect as much tribulation chi as possible and condense the tribulation seed. After a year, you will have the chance to compete with Zhan Tianqing for the flipping sky seal. Lu Wenjing looked at Ling Xiao and said. Senior brother, don't worry. A year is enough for me to condense the tribulation seed. Ling Xiao said slowly. There are 100 strands of tribulation chi here. I have accumulated and exchanged them over the years. Take them and cultivate. I will find a way to get more tribulation chi for you. A light flashed in Lu Wenjing's hand and a transparent jade bottle appeared. There was a dense light in it as if it contained some mysterious power. However, Ling Xiao could sense that there were 100 strands of tribulation chi in it. Thank you, senior brother. Ling Xiao didn't stand on ceremony. He simply memorized all of this in his heart and silently accepted the tribulation chi. Junior brother, although 10,000 strands of tribulation chi can condense the tribulation seed, that is the weakest tribulation seed. The more tribulation chi you have, the better the quality seed you, the better the higher your future achievements in the future. Lu Wenjing said. Senior brother, don't worry. I'll definitely condense the strongest tribulation seed. Ling Xiao, sacred technique. He had even thought of how to collect the tribulation chi. The most important thing was to help others to pass through the tribulation and obtain the tribulation chi. If he could find some treasures of heaven and earth that contained the tribulation chi or a blessed place, that would be even better. Ling Xiao was prepared to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time to refine the 100 strands of tribulation chi that Lu Wenjing had given him. He wanted to experience the miraculous effects of the tribulation chi and study the refining method of the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. The War Mountain was still as barren as before. There were only a few rows of stone houses on both sides of the War Temple. They appeared crooked and lacked any sense of beauty. At that moment, Heavenly Dipper and the others chose a stone house as their residence and began their closed-door cultivation. Senior brother, don't go through the Divine King tribulation for now. I have something to tell you after I come out of seclusion. Ling Xiao said to Tiangang. Although Tiangang was doubtful, he agreed. Ling Xiao chose a stone house. However, when he entered, he found that the stone house was extremely sturdy. There was a powerful holy path array protecting it and it could block all prying eyes. So these broken stone houses are treasures. No wonder senior brother did not demolish them and rebuild them. Ling Xiao understood and found it funny. After Ling Xiao entered his stone house, he used the war god order to control the holy path array and sealed it. He then connected to his heart realm and entered the Great Void Holy Hall. Ling Xiao still had a lot of sacred liquid. He could choose to accelerate time in the Flowing Time Holy Hall to gain more time for cultivation. After entering the Flowing Time Holy Hall, Ling Xiao sat down cross-legged and took out the jade bottle that Lu Wenjing had given him. Buzz! A mysterious ray of light overflowed from the jade bottle. It exuded an ancient and mysterious aura. It seemed to have a spiritual nature. The moment it appeared in the void, it wanted to dissipate. Tribulation chi. Ling Xiao could sense that it was a wisp of tribulation chi. Brilliant light flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes. He channeled the cultivation method of the tribulation's invincibility saint technique and strands of chaotic chi seeped out from him. They formed a chaotic vortex and the strand of tribulation chi was immediately absorbed into his body. Rumble. A vast power bloomed in Ling Xiao's body. The wisp of tribulation chi was like a sharp sword chi. It began to wreak havoc in Ling Xiao's body. His meridians, flesh, and even bones, which were originally extremely tough, were instantly unable to withstand this strand of tribulation aura. It was as if they were about to be minced into pieces. An intense pain surged through Ling Xiao's body. He frowned slightly. Absorbing tribulation chi is so painful. It's as if every inch of my body is being crushed. I'm afraid ordinary people would not be able to endure it. Boom. However, the pain didn't affect Ling Xiao much. He quickly regained his composure and began to use the tribulation's indestructible saint technique to refine the strand of tribulation chi. The tribulation chi was enshrouded in a mysterious light. In the end, with a thought, it fused into one of Ling Xiao's fingers. The flesh on Ling Xiao's finger seemed to have been crushed. Then, under the lingering tribulation chi, it began to reassemble. It was filled with a faint chaotic luster. Ling Xiao could feel that after refining this strand of tribulation chi, his fingers had actually become much tougher. It was as if they were truly perfect now. His finger was crystal clear and there seemed to be a trace of gold on it. I'd like to see how my body will improve after I refine all of this tribulation chi. Ling Xiao's heart was filled with anticipation. He began to refine the second wisp of tribulation chi. Rumble. Ling Xiao endured the intense pain and refined over 100 wisps of tribulation chi. His right index finger also became mysterious. It seemed to be flowing with a layer of faint brilliance. Ling Xiao could actually produce the sound of metal clashing with a flick of his finger. Ling Xiao could feel that his finger contained an extremely terrifying power. He was afraid that even a godly king weapon would be easily pierced by it. Over 100 wisps of tribulation chi converged on his finger, causing it to undergo some kind of transformation. If this continues, I'm afraid that it will be hundreds or thousands of times more difficult for me to break through to the half-saint realm. Chapter 1580. Ling Xiao's current physical body was already extremely strong. After being tempered by the calamity chi, it became even stronger. The nirvana tribulation of a sage to be was to shatter the physical body, divine power, and primordial spirit. The stronger the physical body, the harder it was to undergo nirvana tribulation. However, the harder it was to undergo nirvana tribulation, the stronger one would be after nirvana tribulation. 100 streaks of calamity chi can only refine this finger. If I want to refine my entire body, the amount of calamity chi required would be astronomical. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly. However, his eyes were filled with anticipation. His physical body was already extremely strong. If his entire body was tempered by the calamity chi, it would definitely become even more terrifying. Moreover, Ling Xiao could feel that after being tempered by the calamity chi, not only would his finger become more terrifying, but it would also be able to contain more chaotic energy. It seems like collecting the calamity chi is an urgent matter. Ling Xiao thought to himself. A light flashed in his hand and he took out the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman that Qingying had given him. The heaven-shrouding ancient talisman looked extremely ancient. Although it was missing a corner, it was densely covered with mysterious runes. It seemed to contain the laws of the heavens, making one feel dizzy just by looking at it. I hope I can refine the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. There was a look of anticipation in Ling Xiao's eyes. He communicated with his heart realm and the vast heart realm spread out. The heaven-shrouding ancient talisman also floated up and rotated slowly in the void. It emitted a bright light and imprinted itself into Ling Xiao's heart realm. Although Ling Xiao's heart realm was formless, it could imprint everything that Ling Xiao saw. Just like the 9 emperors during the lightning tribulation, his heart realm had also imprinted some traces of the 9 emperors. Ling Xiao even thought that when his heart realm reached the pinnacle, he would be able to create things out of nothing with just a thought. He could even create living beings. However, that was destined to be an incomparably long and distant path. Although Ling Zhao's current Great Void Charm scripture had reached the 5th level, it was still easy for him to rely on his heart force to create talismans. As for creating things out of thin air, Ling Zhao was only thinking about it. When the Heart Realm imprinted the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman, it was as though the Heart Realm had analyzed it. All the secrets were revealed in front of Ling Zhao. Even the refining method and steps of the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman became extremely clear to Ling Zhao. This was because the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman was badly damaged. If it was a complete holy talisman, with Ling Zhao's current heart world level, he wouldn't be able to brand it completely. Unless Ling Zhao broke through to the 6th level of the Great Void Talisman scripture, he would be able to brand the holy talisman and holy treasure. The runes on the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman were branded with the mysterious laws of heaven and earth. If it was an ordinary person, they wouldn't be able to understand it. However, Ling Zhao had the complete heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. Therefore, after the Heart Realm analyzed the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman, it wasn't difficult for him. I can try to refine the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. Ling Zhao's heart stirred. In an instant, he took out a blank jade talisman. He mobilized his majestic heart force and operated the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman to refine it. However, the refining of the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman was beyond Ling Zhao's imagination. Even though Ling Zhao had analyzed the refining method of the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman, it was still extremely difficult to refine it. In the blink of an eye, Ling Zhao had failed hundreds of times. Just the hundreds of blank jade talismans were expensive. Moreover, every time Ling Zhao refined the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman, it would consume a lot of Ling Zhao's mental strength. However, his mentality was very good. He wasn't in a hurry and constantly explored the refining method of the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. If the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman was easy to refine, it wouldn't have been lost. Even now, many talisman saints couldn't refine it. Ling Zhao failed for 3 months. He couldn't even count how many blank jade talismans he had wasted. Finally, he barely managed to refine a heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. This heaven-shrouding ancient talisman is only at the divine talisman level. With my current ability, there is no way I can refine a holy talisman. Ling Zhao looked at the jade talisman in his hand. His eyes were full of excitement. He didn't waste 3 months and countless failures. He finally refined the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. Although it was only at the divine talisman level, it was enough for him to use. After all, he didn't know how long it would take for him to reach the Sage-to-be realm. It's time to go out and test the magical effects of the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. If I can help eldest senior brother pass the divine king tribulation, I can start my plan. Eldest senior brother, I can only trouble you to be my lab rat. Ling Zhao smiled slightly and then left the Great Void Temple. It took a month to refine the 100 tribulation chi. It took 3 months to refine the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. However, with the flowing time temple's time acceleration, only 4 days had passed in the divine world. Eldest senior brother, you've come out of seclusion. After Ling Zhao came out of seclusion, he found Tian Gang teaching Tainyo fist techniques. Although Tian Gang's cultivation was still at the great circle of the heavenly god realm, which was a small realm lower than Tainyo, Tian Gang's talent in fist techniques was extraordinary. Even Ling Zhao couldn't help but praise him. Therefore, there was no problem for him to teach Tainyo. My cultivation is already at the great circle of the heavenly god realm. If I continue my seclusion, I'm afraid I'll have to break through. Junior brother Long, you told me not to rush to pass the divine king tribulation. Is there something wrong? Tian Gang looked at Ling Zhao curiously and asked. That's right. I want to help eldest senior brother pass the divine king tribulation. Ling Zhao smiled slightly and then told Tian Gang about the tribulation chi he needed to absorb to cultivate the tribulation chi. He also mentioned that he had the heaven-shrouding ancient talisman. Okay, no problem. After hearing Ling Zhao's explanation, Tian Gang agreed without hesitation. Eldest senior brother, aren't you afraid that I'll help you pass the divine king tribulation? If I mess it up, your life will be in danger. Ling Xiao smiled slightly. Tiangang's unreserved trust in him warmed his heart. Ha ha ha. What's there to be afraid of? I believe in junior brother Long. Even if I mess it up, what's a mere divine king tribulation? Tiangang smiled faintly and his eyes were filled with confidence. Eldest senior brother, you're so bold. I wonder when you're going to pass the divine king tribulation. Ling Xiao praised. I can do it any time. Since junior brother Long has come out of seclusion, there's no time like the present. I'll start now. Tiangang said. Boom. Tiangang immediately released the suppression on his cultivation. The terrifying aura around him shot up into the sky. His cultivation at the great circle of the heavenly god realm was completely unleashed. His aura soared and he broke through the limit of the heavenly god realm and ascended to the divine king realm. Chapter 1581. Above the war mountain, dark clouds rolled and the earth trembled. Thick lightning bolts flashed across the sky like lightning dragons. A vast sea of lightning appeared above the 9 heavens, suppressing the entire area. The shockwaves caused by Tiangang's heavenly tribulation alerted Xian Wang, Zhou Daoji, and the others who were in seclusion. They came out of their stone chambers and looked at Tiangang, who was floating in the air. Big senior brother is finally going to undergo the heavenly tribulation. I'm looking forward to it. I wonder what big senior brother's divine king realm will be like. There was a hint of anticipation in Wang Lin's eyes. She looked at Tiangang with eyes full of worship. At least an earth-grade divine king realm tribulation. If senior brother Zhou Daoji is an earth-grade divine king realm tribulation, big senior brother should not be any weaker. He might even be facing the legendary heaven-grade divine king realm tribulation. Min Ro was wearing a white robe. She looked calm and gentle and her eyes were full of smiles. Big senior brother is 100 times stronger than me. He must be facing the heaven-grade divine king realm tribulation. Zhou Doji said with a smile. Rumble. While they were talking, lightning bolts fell from the 9 heavens. The lightning bolts intertwined with each other like a heavenly river pouring down from the heavens. It contained a terrifying destructive force as it enveloped Tiangang. It really is the power of the tribulation chi. A sharp glint flashed across Ling Xiao's eyes. He could sense the tribulation aura hidden within the blazing lightning bolts. It was because of this tribulation aura that the lightning bolts possessed such destructive power. The stronger the lightning tribulation, the more tribulation chi there is. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Ha ha ha. This is great. This amount of tribulation chi is not enough. Tiangang laughed out loud. His entire being exuded a heroic spirit that soared to the heavens. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes shone brightly. In an instant, he blasted out over 100 punches. Each punch was like an immemorial divine mountain, shattering all the lightning that filled the sky. The heavens and earth seemed to be enraged. The vast sea of lightning surged, causing the heavens and earth to tremble violently. Above the 9 heavens, a vast yin-yang millstone appeared, surrounded by destructive black lightning. It suddenly came crashing down towards the heavenly dipper. Now is the time. A gleam of light flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes. He could sense the extremely powerful pulses of tribulation chi within the millstone. He immediately activated the heaven-shrouding talisman in his hand and silently charged towards the millstone. That's Junior Brother Long. What is he trying to do? Zhou Daoji and Wang Lin both shuddered. Their eyes were filled with disbelief, and they started to panic. They didn't know about the agreement between Ling Xiao and Tiangang. Therefore, they were all panicking. If Ling Xiao were to barge into the God King Tribulation, the might of the God King Tribulation would increase exponentially. Ling Xiao and Tiangang might be killed by the heaven and earth lightning tribulation. Junior Brother Long is too impulsive. What is he doing? Wang Lin's face was extremely pale, and her heart began to beat violently. Everyone, calm down. Senior Brother Long must have his own reasons for entering the lightning tribulation. He must have obtained eldest senior brother's permission. Can't you see that eldest senior brother doesn't look surprised at all? Xian Monarch's eyes flashed as he slowly said. This kid is always up to no good. Black Donkey's eyes widened as he muttered. Beside Black Donkey stood Fengye and Yin Tian Song. Previously, they were cultivating in Black Donkey's stomach. Not long after they came out of seclusion, their cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. Both of them had reached the great heavenly god realm. When Ling Xiao got close to the yin-yang millstone, a mysterious chaotic mist surrounded him. He grasped at the void and used the indestructible saint technique. Instantly, the tribulation chi on the yin-yang millstone was collected by Ling Xiao. 3 tribulation chi. Not bad. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of a smile. Moreover, he could feel that the vast heaven and earth's will didn't notice him at all. Therefore, the lightning tribulation didn't increase in power. This made him feel much more at ease. This meant that the heaven-shrouding talisman was indeed a success. The reason why Ling Xiao dared to use himself to test the heaven-shrouding talisman was because he was confident that he could escape from the lightning tribulation at any time. Just the yin-yang millstone alone allowed Ling Xiao to collect 3 tribulation chi. This made Ling Xiao look forward to Tian Gang's divine king realm even more. Boom! Celestial Dipper punched out. That seemingly vast and incomparably terrifying yin-yang millstone actually exploded apart. Blazing lightning surrounded Celestial Dipper, but it didn't pose any threat to him at all. This is strange. Why do I feel that senior brother's lightning tribulation has weakened instead of getting stronger? Zhou Daoji's eyes revealed a trace of suspicion. That's right. I feel it too. This is too strange. This can't be junior brother Long's doing, right? Wang Lin's eyes widened. Rumble. The lightning tribulation fell from the sky and turned into a terrifying yin-yang millstone. It was like a world of lightning was crashing down. Ling Xiao shuttled through the lightning, collecting the tribulation chi. He was having a great time. However, Ling Xiao didn't take away all of the tribulation chi. After all, Heavenly Dipper needed the tribulation chi to temper himself. Only then would he be able to break through and strengthen his foundation. If all of the tribulation chi was taken away, it would damage Heavenly Dipper's foundation. Therefore, Ling Xiao only took away half of the tribulation chi, which was equivalent to reducing the power of the lightning tribulation by half. This was not a difficult task for Tian Gang. Very quickly, Tian Gang passed the Divine King Realm tribulation. On the other hand, Ling Xiao had collected 72 tribulation chi. Rumble. A vast and majestic aura spread out. Tian Gang's body was surrounded by a dazzling divine light and his aura increased by a few times. Ha ha ha. Junior brother Long, after the tribulation chi was absorbed by you, the divine king realm tribulation is as soft as a girl. Tian Gang laughed heartily. His eyes were filled with carefreeness. However, his words made Wang Lin and Min Ro glare at him with unfriendly expressions. Tian Gang knew that he had said something wrong, so he coughed dryly and avoided their gazes. Fortunately, Wang Lin and Min Ro did not dwell on it. Instead, they were attracted by Tian Gang's words. Wang Lin could not help but ask, Junior brother Long, what tribulation chi? Can you help eldest senior brother pass the tribulation? Everyone's eyes widened as they looked at Ling Xiao in disbelief. That's right. I can help eldest senior brother pass the tribulation. In fact, the reason I entered eldest senior brother's lightning tribulation was to collect the tribulation chi. Ling Xiao smiled and explained that he needed the tribulation chi to refine his body to cultivate the tribulation indestructible saint technique. Everyone was stunned. Then, their eyes were filled with excitement. Ling Xiao could help others pass the tribulation. This was simply good news for them. After all, the Divine King Realm tribulation was extremely dangerous. Ordinary people did not dare to break through the Divine King Realm because they were afraid of the dangers of the Divine King Realm tribulation. Now that Ling Xiao could help others pass the tribulation, it seemed like all the troubles would be solved. In that case, they would be able to break through to the Divine King realm very soon.